Good afternoon or early evening to everyone. It's welcome to the fourth episode of Honor and Blood with my co-host Mikey B, and I'm Joey C. Welcome everybody. We hope you enjoyed today's show. We thank you for being here, supporting. Real quickly, supertips.gg /Joey C. You guys know we're also on a membership drive. Memberships help us be able to do membership drive and put up extra stuff for the fans. How you doing today, Mikey? How you doing?
I'm good, Joe. What a wild week it's been because you know what happened? As you know, I had problems with my knee, right?
Yeah,
On Friday, for no reason, I don't know why, I don't know if this ever happened to you. My knee started buckling and I couldn't stand up,
it has happened to me. Has happened to
right?
me.
And you know what I did? I'm like, oh no. So I just stayed in bed, chilled out, got
Yeah.
up, did my physical therapy, right? The next day, now I'm back to normal.
Yeah, you get an imbalance. Like when I was retaining water, I sometimes I would stand up, like I would get up, like sit up on the bed, and I stand up too fast, and I go down like a pile. My knees would just give up, and I fall down.
Oh God, retaining water is horrible, Joe. How do you
Oh
get
yeah,
rid
I
of that?
I was doing it for a while, but that's when I was at almost like I said, I was at 268, my highest weight. But now I'm at 205,
Oh, nice.
and I've lost. I've
Congratulations.
lost. I'm trying to get down to 180. But in nine and a half months, I've lost quite a bit of weight. I'm looking better. I feel better. I got my balance back. I can walk now comfortably. I can do a lot more things
Energy,
that I couldn't
right?
do. So it's a lot of hard work though. But you gotta,
Energy too, right?
huh?
Your energy must be high.
My energy went way up. Yes, and I'm eating better. I'm not eating no fast foods no more. I'm not eating. And I don't. I'm not 100% clear of sugar, but I'm 96% clear of sugar. I'll
Well,
have something once in a while, but I don't eat
I
no
mean,
fast foods.
once
That's
in
the
a while
biggest
it's
thing.
not bad, Joe. Everything in moderation. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Because
moderation, everything. You
and the
must.
thing is, I want to address a couple of things before we start.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm so pissed what happened to Brennan,
Oh, I
but
was just going to bring that up to you. I
I'm
was
not going to go after who did it to him
no,
because
I know, but they
that creep.
are. He's in trouble. A lot of people are going after him.
Well, that creep that did that to him. I don't want him coming after us.
Right. Well, he will. He listen. You know him well. I know him well. We both have had interactions with him. I still I try to always just be the good guy and be a friend
Take
to
the high
him.
road.
I stay away from him when he's way out there. I know how evil he can be, but he's just on a tear of things that I don't. Is it because he's just so? Is he so upset and that angry now? What going on the last 2 years of everybody attacking him? Is he just unhinged that he's going to be the way he is today and in a full force? Listen, I know Brennan. I've learned to really respect and like as much as I like respect Shuley them. Um, Brennan, he's that's his style. He don't pull no punches behind. He goes
No,
right for you. That's him. You know, and he believes in loyalty. I'll tell you what. I text Kevin yesterday, and I swear to you, I didn't think he was going to answer me. He answered me quick. I offered my channel to him while he was
oh nice,
down.
and I retweeted it. I seen that. That's great. That was really nice.
But he wrote me back and he said, I don't think that's necessary, but he thanked me a lot for offering. And I go, I don't want nothing for it. If you want to use my channel to go so you don't lose no money, I would have gave that to him. That's just the type of guy I am. And I
I
don't want
know.
nothing in return out of it. I didn't. I just wanted to help him because he's helped me in many ways out here too. So I was just being kind because I didn't agree with that. And I don't. You could call. I can sit here and call John by blue in the face and try to talk him into stuff. He's gonna. You know what he's gonna do? He's gonna get more agitated and he's gonna come after you. That's what he's gonna do.
That
So I just
I don't want. That's why I don't want to go off on him because
right.
he'll come after us if we say
He
stuff
will.
bad.
He don't care who it is. And so it is what it is. Everybody knows how he is, when he gets in that mood. So, but I felt bad for Kevin and I wanted to extend that to
Me
him.
too. It's like that's the thing I like about Kevin. You know, we stand with him. You know what I mean? He's not
Yeah.
fake.
He's not fake. That's great. That's 100% true. He's a straight shooter when he comes. And you know what? Sometimes he can be brutally strong to you. But you know what? At least you know where he's coming from when he does. You don't have to worry about him doing shit behind your back or any underhanded shit. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
because I mean, Joe, I want to ask you your opinion on this. This happened to me the other day, last
sure.
week actually.
Well, how you feeling from last week? I know you had some.
Oh, I'm much better, thanks.
Okay, good. Okay,
This is. I went out with my mom the other day when I got
right,
a haircut last week. Right, it
right.
was me, my mom, my sister, and my brother's 5 pound Chihuahua
Okay.
all at one time. Right. So okay, I sent my sister into CVS to get something to drink and a few other things, right? For us, there's guys outside, right, asking for money. Now, I
Right.
normally give money when I have it,
So do
right?
I. I do the same thing.
But the thing is, and I don't like to judge people, but this guy had on like a high end $400-500 winter coat, you know what I mean? Like top sneakers, you know, he looked well groomed, you know what I mean?
Really?
He looked like he didn't need anything, right? So here's what happened, right? I'm sitting there with my mom, right? I'm in the front seat. She's in the back with the dog. This guy comes over to the car, right? So I just like instinctively, native New Yorker, Italian, shoo him away because I don't
Right.
trust anybody. You know
Sure,
what
you
I mean,
can't.
right?
You can't.
Right. And my mom goes, "That's horrible what you did to him." I
No,
go,
no, no.
I go, how do I know he wasn't going to do something to us, steal something, go after us,
Knock
right?
you in the head, try to hurt your mother or something, you know?
I'm just being protective. She goes, well, she goes, that was very unchristian of you. I go, no, it
Well,
wasn't because I go, first of all, God does want us to help him. I felt bad that I turned the guy away, but I don't know what his motives were. I don't know him from Adam, and I don't
Mike,
trust anybody.
you have all the right to be cautious, whether you're a Christian man and you believe in the faith all the way through and through your life. And I understand mothers. I got a mother that's alive too. I know how the first thing they're going to say to you as a son is they're going to throw God at you, and that's fine. But you did the right thing as a son, being cautious, and I think your mom understands it, but she's just being mom. You know, that's what
Oh,
moms
yeah,
do.
because,
You know,
Joe,
so
not only that, the 12 apostles, right? They carried swords to protect themselves,
that's
Joe.
right.
Am I right or
Right.
wrong? St. Peter pulled out a sword when they came to get
Yeah.
Christ that night and
Yeah.
took a soldier's ear off. They
Yeah.
carried weapons to protect themselves.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened to me a few months ago? About 8 months ago,
No.
I did it. One of my, you know, I've been trying for the last 3 years to get something successful going on the internet, and I got pretty successful with my walk and talk. It started really bearing fruit. So I was on my walk and talk stream, and some guy yelled, "Help me! Help me! I broke my neck! Help me! I broke my back!"
Oh,
So,
God.
but I saw who it was. He was a local crackhead for the neighborhood. It was a bum that lived out in front of the building where I lived, and he was just trying to con. So I told him, I can't stop my stream right now. I'll get someone to call for you, the ambulance. So it went viral. Somebody on YouTube took this video and said I was the worst guy in the world because I wouldn't help a
Whoa.
guy to. But I knew he was trying to lure me over there. Who knows if he was going to try to hit me and rob me or take my phone? I don't know what he wanted. But
You got to
I
be cautious. You got
I
to
knew he
really be
wasn't.
careful.
He didn't break his neck. I knew that. If it was somebody that I really saw slip and fall, and I would have just ran across the street and stopped my stream, and I would have helped him. But they made me out to be this horrible person. But you know what? I knew that he wasn't break because he ran away after a while. After I got about 20 feet up the road, turned around, he was dashing because he was trying to get somebody else, and I think he was trying to rob somebody. And I knew he was
Well,
a local bum. So
Joe, I don't claim to be a tough guy, but you know what happened
yeah,
to me? This is back in 2000. I'm in the city. I had to meet some people. Somebody wanted me to help them with a play, like be a stage manager or
right,
whatever, right? So I get to the city, and this is like in an area that was still changing at the time, right?
right,
It's early in the morning. These two guys come over to me. I could tell they cracked out. Their eyes
yeah.
are
Of
all
course you
red and
can.
bloodshot. One guy goes, "Give me some money."
Right,
Like a big guy. I go, Joe, now I was young. I was in my late 30s. I go, I
sure.
don't have any money.
You were still drinking back then?
No,
No, you still
I
you
stopped for
had
a couple of years by then,
okay.
right? I don't have any money, right? So his friend left. He goes, "You're going to give me some money." Now, Joe, this guy was big.
Right.
This is my very busy intersection place was. I had two pens on me, right? If he was going
Oh,
to
a
hurt,
good weapon.
if he, this may sound bad, if he was going to hurt me, I was going to put a pen in his fucking eye
Oh, that you would have worked too. You would have got it because pens is a very good tool
or
and a
shove him into
weapon.
traffic. You know what I mean, right?
You would
But Joe, I don't like getting like that. But it's mine, him. And
that's
you
the
know
way to
what, though,
think, Mike.
Joe?
It's your
He
life or his.
backed down because I stood up to him and he just walked
That's
away.
right. And if you don't, Mike, here's one thing I always tell people: I don't go out never in my life and physically start fight, pick, and bully people. I've been in a lot of bad situations in my life, being in the wrong place or with the wrong people. So I put myself. Yes, I'm the one that put myself at that place. So anything that jumped off is on me. Yes, that's true. But I don't start. But and I've had myself. I've had myself tuned up a pretty good times. Guys have worked me over pretty good, but I've gave my share. But I don't believe in hurting anybody unless it's necessary. And if you feel your bodily harm is coming to you, I'm gonna tell you, if you are gonna step to that, you cannot just, if you for sure know they got a weapon, they're gonna kill you. I'm afraid to tell people this, but you have to go. We'll be willing to go. It's either him or you.
Oh
At
yeah,
that
because
at
it's
that
like,
point, you have to understand that. Otherwise,
well,
you're probably going to be you. You know what I'm saying? So,
the only thing I realized afterwards was, thank God he had a gun or a knife and pulled it
right,
on me. You know
right,
what I mean, right?
right.
But the thing is, Joe, like you said, if it came down to it and he was going to hurt me with a
You
weapon,
have to.
I'll bite his finger off. You know,
You
if I had
have
to
to,
die, he'd be missing a finger and remember
because
me.
there's
You
people out
know
there,
what I
Mike,
mean?
that will put a gun in your face. Will take you in the desert area. You'll give them cooperate, give them all the money, do everything, and they'll still put a bullet in you
Oh,
just because
definitely, because
because
my
they're evil.
neighbor I
You
used
know.
to live, right?
So
Really good guy, owned a dry cleaning business in a bed area in Brooklyn. This is like, oh God, in the early 90s. Gave them money. They shot the poor guy and crippled him like Christopher Reeve. He's in
yeah,
a wheelchair for life now. He gave him the
yeah,
money.
yeah. You know, I grew up in a rough area of Chicago, and the local gangbangers, when they were in gang wars, they rather have been killed on the street than to be crippled for life, because then go to prison being crippled. It's like a double life sentence when you're a guy that, let's say, if you went out and you did a hit and you killed the rival gang, but they got a bullet in you, which paralyzed you for life. Now you're never gonna walk again. You lived through the bullet you took, and now you got to go to prison where you killed the rival gang's gonna really get you, because now you
Oh,
got
forget
no.
it. It's
Now you're
hard. It's
done.
double
You
double
know,
set
double
double
sentence.
nightmare because
That's it.
Joe, before we start, I want to tell two real stories
Go right ahead.
about how some real mob guys saved me
Okay.
twice in my life, right? First time I was 20 years old, right? I worked in a gas station overnight by myself, right? Started, this was on a Friday night, I think it was. Started getting
It
real
wasn't one of
busy.
Michael's gas stations where he took the taxes from, was it?
No, it was really, really busy, right? And what do you call it? Anyway, I had a ton of money on me. I wanted to deposit it in the safe. So this like Fiat comes in, nice car, young Guido guy, maybe early 30s. I was like 20. So uh, anyway, he goes, "Are you closed? I want some gas." I go, "Well, I am." And he goes, "Hey, I just seen you open. Give me some gas." I go, "Hey, man, I can't right." I started arguing with him. So I cursed him out. And he goes, "I'll be back for you, douchebag," right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like thinking, yeah, whatever, the movies, right? A couple of nights later, Joe, right? The same guy comes in, right? Pulls up to the pump. This psycho pulls a gun on me.
Oh,
He goes, "You were a dick to me. Now I'm going to fucking shoot you."
right,
But listen what happened, how the mob saved my life, right? One guy that was, there was a deli a couple of blocks away. There was a connected place, right?
right,
There were three brothers that owned it. One was a Joe Pesci type.
right,
The other was very kind of quiet. And the other brother who saved my life was like a muscle head. He was jacked
right.
up, you know what I mean,
You
right?
got a
But very
gangster, and
cool.
you got gangsters, and you got guys that are like Fortune 500 bosses.
Yeah. Anyway, so, but they were always nice to me. Because I always went respectful, went bought
Yeah,
food off them. I'm kind of made kind of like a bit of a friendship, especially with the musclehead guy, right?
sure.
So, Joe, God was on my side that night. The musclehead guy came into the gas station for gas with his vet, right? He seen what was going on, right? Waved the guy over. Now, Joe, I don't know what he said to him, right? They talked for a few minutes.
Yeah,
My friend, the mob guy, brought the guy over to the tank with me, and he said, "Your friend here," meaning the guy, my
right,
friend, wanted me to apologize to you for being a jerk to you. How
nice.
crazy is it? He goes, he said, "You're a real good guy. You're loved around here, and it was wrong for me to do this to you. I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know what he said to him, Joe.
I can imagine.
He probably said to him, "I'll bury you someplace
I'm
if you
sure he
touch him."
did, and that's the
Right?
difference when you're a guy that's liked, and obviously the people respected you. They knew you weren't part of their world, but they still felt enough you were friend enough to
Well,
protect you.
but there's a sad ending to it, Joe, right?
Yeah,
He saved my life that day, and I'll
right.
never forget him. But a
He,
couple of years later, they
he was
whacked
killed.
him out. You know what
Yeah,
happened to him?
no,
They threw him in like a huge like machine where they make bagels,
yeah.
shot him and threw him in there and ground him up. I
Uh,
heard, right? But
Unfortunately, Mike, that's what happens in that world.
but you know what I said to myself, Joe, right? He did an act of kindness to me that night But for him to be murdered like that, Lord knows what he did to other people.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you're right. Listen, many of those guys will tell you that are out of life today is it's not something. It's not like a job you could go quit or like a 7-Eleven job. You go out and say I don't want to work here no more. It's a life commitment. They know what they're getting into,
I
and
know. But you know what, though, Joe? You know what some connected guy told me? And this might be true. He goes, the only reason he saved from being shot is they didn't want to have any heat in the neighborhood having cops come down.
sure, of course,
I go,
that's
you know what? That might have been part of it, but he saved me to save me.
he did. I'm sure. Like I said, Mike, I could tell if I knew you growing up, you would probably be a guy that would be well liked, and if I got a chance to help you with something I would like that, I would do that. So,
Well, Joe, the other time is more funny. This is you're gonna love this because
all right,
my neighbor where I grew up with, right, my friend Bruce, his stepdad was a bookie and a loan shark. He was a cool guy, right?
yeah,
And since childhood, he was a psycho. This guy because me and Bruce were playing like guns when we were kids. So
right,
he grabbed the gun. He goes, "You should smack him with the gun." That's what he told me as a kid.
yeah,
Well, here's what happened, right? I probably seen him the last time I seen him, I was probably about 12 years old, right? Fast forward to about 10 or 11 years later, right? I'm working in an apartment building down the street, and I go into this deli, right? But this area is like kind of shady and all punky kids hanging out in the deli,
right.
right? My friend comes in, who I haven't seen in years, right? Comes over to me, Joe, gives me the Italian salute, kissing me on both cheeks, giving me a
All
huge
right.
hug, right? And everybody in the neighborhood knew him. You know, all the
Well,
punks knew him. They knew they feared him actually, right?
so now you got
So,
the same respect.
so listen what happened. We're talking. He goes, "Great to see you, Mike." And he hugs me. And then Joe, this is one of the smartest things I ever did in my life. So the punks after that go, "You know him?" I go, "Well, like this. You know, I haven't seen him in years." Right. I go, "You know him?" I go, "Yeah." Well, like this, right?
Yeah,
I never seen him again after that. But from that day on, nobody bullied me. Listen to
that's
this,
it.
right?
That's it.
In fact, the guy next door, the old Italian guy, Mr. Belfini, I think his name was, great Italian roast beef sandwiches, right? Went in his store for food one day, made me a huge sandwich like this, gave me Manhattan special, gave me figs, fruit. He goes, no charge. I go, why? He goes, you're a friend of Al's. That's what he said, right? I go, yeah. He
Yeah,
goes, any friend of his is a friend of mine, and you tell him
that's
I
it.
said
That's the
hi.
truth, though.
Tell him you never charged me for anything. Am I
You're
right?
saying the American thing is true. This is listen. My friend Jeff, his name is Jeff. I'll just leave it at that. And he was a neighborhood guy. And when he got older, he was always liked as a kid. And of course, at Ashland and Grand was Joey Lombardo's territory. Joey was an upcoming
Oh, did
mobster.
they call him the clown?
Joe Clown, yeah, Joey the Clown. And so he was good to all the neighborhood kids. And when he come in the neighborhood, these guys, if you were a kid, they would treat the kids like gold. So Jeff grew up and he became a car salesman, and he got his little lot. But Joe loved him so much. He knew him since he was a little kid. At his older years, after he got out of prison, because he was one of the mob bosses that went to prison for 10 years, came out and still became a boss. He would have Jeff drive him a couple days a week, run errands because he was one of the old school guys. He didn't have the fancy house. He lived very mediocre, still in the same neighborhood that was now rotten to the core with every ethnic group there,
Whoa.
street gangs. But he stayed because he owned half the block anyhow. All the buildings on the block were all his anyhow, and he lived in the basement, very mediocre, like a poor old guy. And the guy was a multi-billionaire, and Jeff would drive him on a certain day, I think Tuesdays or Thursdays, and he'd go around and mostly to restaurants and places, and he'd go in and Jeff said he would call him. There were cell phones then. This was like later in his years, and he said call him to come and help him load this, and it would be just bags of envelopes that he would go
Whoa.
meet at these restaurant guys guys come and pay him envelopes on Thursday, to give to the boss, and
It's crazy because, but see, that's why the low keys live to be
yep,
old. I mean, I'll
that's
give you
right.
a give you a good example. I used to work in the comedy club in New York City, right?
Yeah,
That like by 24th Street, right? There was an old gangster that owned the building. He owned the whole neighborhood, right?
most of the gangsters did own the buildings and stuff like that in New York and Chicago. They owned it, but they did. They just always had a front man to do for a business.
Well,
They put a front man in.
he was like in his early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Little old Italian guy with a little bit of an accent, right? His caretaker was a mob guy too, an older
Yep.
guy. And it was like we'd walk him around and make sure he was safe.
Right.
So one day, Tommy, the guy's name was, not the old man. He goes, "The old man loves you." I go, "Why?" He goes, "He sees you coming to work every day.
Right.
You know what I mean?" He goes, "He sees you're a good guy." What do you call it? The old man called me over, right? He goes like this, right? "You a good guy."
Right. That's how they talk to you.
Right.
Exactly.
I like you. You keep your mouth shut. You nobody, nobody. You a good guy. You a friend to me. I'm like, whoa, right? So this is what happened, right? After that, Tommy called me on the side. He goes, "My God, you're blessed to be loved by him." I go, "Why?" He goes, "He's 94." He gave me his background, right? He worked with Al Capone, Lucky Luciano. He did work, a lot of work with them years ago. He goes, when he was young, he's a trigger happy maniac.
Yep.
He goes, he lived to be 94 because he was a fox.
Yeah. He was fox and a lion. If you're a fox and a lion,
How crazy is that, Joe?
that's
But you know
that's when
what,
you're
though?
that's when you know you got
How
something.
cool is that? He called me over. He goes,
That's
"You're a
great, Mike.
good,
That's a good
good
story.
guy." I
That's a
never
great
bothered
story.
anybody, but you know what it is? Especially the old timers,
Yeah.
they respected people who went to work every day. Am I
They
right or wrong?
did. They did. They
They,
did.
they knew it was a struggle. That's what it is.
That's right.
They
It's
didn't.
what
They didn't mock them like
no.
like they didn't like some movies like, oh, they called them suckers.
Right.
No, they didn't mock people really.
That's why I like the way Michael Franzese breaks it down. He says there's gangsters that are thugs that are guys that button men, and then you got the Wall Street type bosses who never get in the limelight. They're old school. They're racketeers. He said there's racketeers. This is how he broke it into three things. There's racketeers. Those are the bosses that are usually never going to jail, live to their old age, and die in their sleep because they're smart. They're brains. You got the gangsters that are in the middle
Oh,
that
like
are
shooting people
that,
up. Some of them.
that are the guys that they go to, and then you got the guys that are just doing all the other work, that all the dirty work, that they're not earners, because he said there's two types of people. You're either an earner or you're not, and
You're not.
the earners are the guys that keep the whole thing together. But being a racketeer is vitally important for a boss. But when you could be both, he said, when a boss can be a racketeer and when he needs to be a gangster, I'm talking him himself without depending on anybody. Those are the most dangerous ones that the feds will never get, because he knows how to maneuver. And,
Oh,
and, and
definitely. Because Joe, I think even some of the bosses of the racketeers,
yeah,
what do you call it, put work into killing people when they're
right.
young. Probably. Am
Well,
I
Paul
right?
Castellano was strictly a racketeer. He was a
Oh
Fortune
yeah.
500 banker, and he starved all his guys. That's the only reason he was taken out.
He was like a Wall Street
He
executive,
was a Wall
basically.
Street, and growing up, Della Croce, who was the tough muscle for that family, him and Carlo, they told him, "You're not the streets. You never were. You're always in the banks." He spent in the country clubs. That's where he spent all his time, you know. And he starved the guys.
Even though he's a maniac, Joe, Crazy Joe hung out with politicians or people wanted to
Yeah,
be a movie
they
star.
were
You know what I
smart.
mean,
Well,
right?
who was the prime minister? Frank Costello. Frank
Oh yeah,
Costello had every
him too. They
politician,
hung
every
out with
cop
like
in his pocket. They do
dignitaries,
anything for him.
all kinds of like wealthy people they should have been
That's
hanging
right.
around with.
And they knew who he was associated to. But there wasn't. I don't think there was a politician or a cop in New York that, if Costello picked up the phone up, they would run to him for what he needed,
Oh, definitely they would,
because
because I
he
don't think
made
he was.
sure he respected when they said, "We don't want no guys out here wild with guns. We don't want you to drugs on this." And he kept order. He kept his word.
He wasn't shoot 'em up, trigger happy maniac.
No, he was not. And that's what you got. You got the same with Tony Accardo in Chicago. His funeral, there was more Chicago cops there and FBI and politicians than what he had family that came to pay their legitimate respects to him.
Oh, that reminds me. Did you hear what happened?
No.
They knocked down Al Capone's house
Oh, they did? The original house?
a couple of years
I
ago.
haven't even heard that.
I read it. I seen it online. I'm like, what?
My
They wanted
sister
to
don't
make it a landmark, right? The
really.
people who against
Usually
making it a
they don't mess with
landmark,
landmarks,
they knocked it down. You know what's crazy, right? With no house, right,
right?
Joe? Just all property. It's worth $20 million without a house on there. How
Yeah.
crazy is that?
I know when they built the Al Capone Museum there for tourists, it was very successful. They had a restaurant in there, a great bunch of gift shops. They gave you through the museum tour. It was very successful. But I think over the years, a bunch of people, high society people, thought it was very bad to honor this man the way the
I
city of
know.
Chicago was doing it.
Well, Joe, let me ask you something. Being a Chicago native, right?
Yeah.
What was the take on Al Capone current day? Do people like him and they're
Well,
terrified of him?
I've been home in the last 10 years maybe 3 times. I don't really go into the neighborhood. I don't. Anybody that would be from that world is gone or either in jail or dead.
I mean,
But
was he a hero to people in Chicago or not really?
Tony
Hated.
Accardo
Oh no,
or
Capone.
Capone, I think to maybe some old timers, he might have blessed him as a good guy and a hero, a guy that took care of the neighborhood. But I think any of these kids today, they could probably you ask them about history in Chicago, they'll probably just swear at you and cuss you because they don't give a shit. But I would think that there was a good portion of the people that thought he was a thug and that he wasn't just a murdering thug, you know. But I also think that there was a lot of the city that thought of him as a businessman that provided what they wanted and he did kind things. You know, it's very hard because no matter when you're doing something, we all know for sure when you're a criminal empire. Let's face it, even if you're doing nice things and you have a heart, part of that is because you want to make that persona that you do have a heart. And so when they do come after you, it could be used that, yeah, he might have bootleg booze, but look at all the jobs he gave people. Look at so his side's always going to spin it that he did it in a good way. But let's face it, he had a $500 million empire that he made. So we know it was when it comes down to anything like that, organized crime, it's all about one thing, and that's money and power, and that's just the facts.
I know Michael Francesi called him more of a gangster, I think.
Right. Yeah. Well, Al Capone was a gangster. He was a gangster.
Definitely.
But I've heard rumors now that Al Capone wasn't as tough as everybody said he was.
No, he got beat up in jail.
So did John Gotti.
That's unbelievable, right?
John Gotti got tuned up pretty good too by a big old guy, an African American guy. He clocked him.
It's
because
crazy because, yeah, but you know what it is? Some people there don't care.
Right. Here's the problem: when you're a high profile gangster like Gotti was, like Capone was, and you got a reputation on the street that everybody's showing fear, and you go inside the prison now where you got a guy who's got 100 years, and he don't give a shit who you are because you can leave that Gotti and that Capone stuff at the gate because they don't care about that.
No,
they don't care about that. So
no, it's crazy because and the thing is, it's crazy. I remember years ago, Geraldo opened his vault.
Oh, I remember that thing. I didn't even know he was alive. I just saw him pop up on Twitter the other day. I thought he was dead.
I know. It's and the thing is, Joe, I was like 25. I was kind of, immature at that age. I thought,
big
well,
waste
to
of
find
money
money to find bodies or find something in there, right? They found zero. Because first of all, probably in reality, the mob took his money, whatever he didn't have hidden. And he's not going to bury bodies in a place like that. You know what I mean?
That was the biggest, most expensive thing that Geraldo Rivera did. That was a suspense all the way to the vault to open it up to get nothing. Was everybody was the mob hated him because he really crucified them in the news world.
Oh,
so they were so ecstatic when he failed with that. So
at that time they were super powerful. They really must have hated him then because
he did have some power at one time.
Gave him death threats. They might have.
Yeah.
Right, well, but Joe, you want to start with
here's what we're gonna do, Mike. What I did, I got it all laid out for. We're gonna do what you wanted with the Suns and stuff. We got to stay. I couldn't do any videos of movies because we got to find a good supply where we can't get them from the movie because MGM killed us. But I got a whole layout here for you that I think, and I even got this for you. I put it this way with notes for you. I'm going to show you what I did here. Let me just put that up there. And it kind of gives you basic. And then I put, if you want to talk about the chin, I got a chin video we could talk about to show just basically introduce what the guy you're talking about. And then you could go into the story about how he didn't want his kids in there. And I got Gotti in there and stuff like that.
I don't want to get in trouble with the thing. We'll just have fun with this.
Right. Well, it's not it's like the producer that was just here helping us. What do you say? We just got to find the right area to not use the movie ones. We got to just go into maybe someone that's already done a show on them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The podcast, they'll want the exposure. They won't strike you. MGM has killed me the last 3 weeks.
Oh, forget it because
killed me.
You know what? I guarantee if we showed a Three Stooges movie, they'd come after us.
They do it. No, anything. If you have to make it your own, and I'm like I said, I've learned a lot, but I'm not fully there on the editing part and how to take clips out that good. I'm learning that now. And hopefully I'll get it down to a science and to get better at it. But it is what it is. I do what I work with, and I'm learning. Everything's a learning process for me at my age.
Oh, me too. It's never
everything,
over.
Everything. So, and I'm trying to do the best I can. I just got so upset. I went back, I played my half an hour video yesterday, right? For my awards thing and my news thing, and realized 13 minutes was silent with nothing. I didn't even know it.
Whoa.
And it's only a 30-minute show. And I was so upset with myself. I almost want to go back and redo the show just to do it right because I got confused with some of the buttons. Because, like I said, if I have bad days, I bring it to my mind, and then I'm flustered, and then I couldn't see the screen that well. So I got to just adjust. Like I got to
No,
take a deep breath and adjust.
it's not easy because first of all, how old is the guy that helps you? He's a young guy, right?
The one that just helped us.
Yeah.
He's probably in his 30s, probably in his 30s. Yeah, late 30s.
See, that's the thing. Us, Joe, we were doing finger painting in kindergarten.
Yes.
He was doing computers in kindergarten.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's a
It's
great
like,
guy. He don't want no recognition. Don't want me to mention his name, but he has been the one person in my corner from day one that's helped me so much. And when he told me I don't want ever want anything from you, if you learn something and you get good at it, teach someone that needs help like you needed help and teach them. That's all I ask.
See, that's awesome because like most people, like sometimes tech people, not everybody
doesn't ask for anything.
Really want to be on camera and be the star of this. You know what I mean? Then they'll try to weasel their way in as a tech person and try to run us over. You know what I mean?
Mike, when I tell you a friend, and I physically have never met him yet, never physically met him. This guy has stuck up for me, taught me things, did things, and never asked for any. He spent hours at night giving me philosophies and lectures and how to better myself and give me more tools how to do. But his big thing is, I'm gonna give you the tools. You have to study them. You have to learn them. I'll tell you. I'll get you going, but you have to put the work in. And I do. But he knows my personality. I get overwhelmed. I have a problem of starting one story and then I'll drift and and I'll forget about that story I was talking about and I go to another story. So there's a lot of faults that I have that he's very good at just going slow with me to get me out of those habits.
You know what, Joe? That's what we all need someone that good
like
that. Just, Joe, okay, instead of showing the movies, would it be okay if we talked about them?
You can talk about anything you want. He's going to show me now some areas that we could, when we want to do like movies
we wrote down, we can talk about them.
Yeah. We can talk about anything. What do you want to do first? You want to talk about whatever you want to do first?
We have it. You want to read the super tip? We have one.
We have a super tip or super chat. I don't see no super tip. Let me see.
It's just one super tip, right?
Let me see what I got here. Let me see. All right, so we got no regular super. By the way, supertip.gg/Joey C. You're saying we got one super chat. Okay, let me see what it says, Mike.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm not really sure
super chat. Yeah, we do have it. Okay, here we go. I'll put that up and read it. It's from Todoro26, $1.90. Mike, how did you hear the guy who saved you was erased?
It's a known fact in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And that's a sad story because he probably was. My younger brother never had kids, and he's been a loner most of his life. And my brother's very strong. He learned how to box. He learned how to kickbox.
Oh, nice.
He's very worked out. My brother, but like I was immaculate with his bike. He never drank, never touched drugs.
He's your younger brother?
My younger brother. I took very good care of my brothers and sisters. When my brother found out that I started doing drugs, basically was going to faint in his face and lost a lot of respect for me. He lost a lot of respect for me because he looked up to me because I was his bigger brother. I fight battles for him. Kids would pick on him in school and I go beat him up for him. I did a lot of things to protect him. And when all of a sudden I'm 5 years older than him, I was already had my first kid at 17. So I was already with my own family. And I was away for a couple of years. And I came back and I was at my mom's house for a holiday. I go, who's that kid over there that's real tall? She's, that's your brother. He sprouted to 6'3". Wow. And we're all small, but my grandfather was 6'3". And I'm like, that's my brother? And he was like jacked like this. And I'm like, holy cross. And I go, the little shit that he was, couldn't fight his way up. And he was a very strong kid. But, then he goes to me, I go, my mom still told me a story. He goes, he made this list as a kid. I didn't know about everybody that bullied him. I never knew he kept this list. And when he went out and get all this training to box, kickbox, he went and paid a visit to every one of these people and knocked on their door.
So I got to tell you a couple of things about.
I thought it was a little crazy, but
if that's okay, because Joe, that just reminded me of a couple of stories.
Let me go back to the room where we can talk. We're going to talk. We'll put us back in the other room. Go ahead. Okay. This way they can see us better. Go ahead.
Joe, that reminds me of a couple of things that happened in my life, right? Joe, it's an Italian thing. It has to be because You know what? It goes back to the Roman Empire. We got a
Yeah.
thirst for blood sometimes. You know?
But my brother was something, man. He I didn't realize how strong he got, and he got married once. He did get married. It didn't last long. Uh, he's
I'm
never
sorry.
had children. I know he wanted to have a child, but it just never panned out for him. He married a girl in the business that he was into, and obviously he did. My brother didn't know what a drug addict how they act because he didn't do drugs. And when he got married, he goes, I don't know. Can you come? Are you coming? You're coming to Vegas, right? You go to California. Can you stop in Vegas and have dinner at my house? He says, and watch my wife. I think she might be on drugs, but I don't know because I don't hang around drug addicts. I go, what do you say? Well, I go, you say it because I'm an addict. I know. And I kind
Oh
of took
no.
it. He goes, I'm not insulting you. He says, it is what it is. He says, but maybe you could tell me if she is. Well, sure enough, without the diagnosis, I go up for dinner and have a dinner, meet my sister-in-law for the first time. And for sure, without a doubt, within 15 minutes, I said, she made 10 trips to the bathroom in 30 minutes.
Oh no.
All right, what are you doing in there? You're changing your panties. What do you wait, you're going to do a sniff, whatever you're doing, and because she just obviously couldn't deal with life, and I said, well, no, he said, you're 100% sure. I said, without a doubt, I'm 100% sure. So sure
Unbelievable.
enough, it wind up, the marriage didn't last because he don't want that in his life, and
No,
then
you got it's horrible because I've had addicts in the family, and it's
yeah,
horrible because Joe, my family was like having Al Capone for your mom and dad. You know
yeah,
why?
same way with mine.
Especially when it came to bullies. Here's what
Yeah,
happened, right?
yeah,
My mom would drive me around to beat up bullies who picked on me.
yeah. My mom did the same thing to me. My mother dragged me by my hair, my ear, and make me fight the bullies. She's you're never gonna you're never gonna be big and strong. You're always gonna be a short little Italian little piece of shit. She said you're never gonna amount to nothing unless you learn how to fight and stick up for yourself. You're never gonna be no 6'2" muscular bound guy. You better learn how to be a
Well,
leader.
here's crazy. She drove me around one day, right?
My mom did the same
And
shit, man.
and in a non-passenger station wagon, not even a
Oh,
cool car.
oh, that's even. I didn't have a car. My mom didn't have a car. We walked everywhere. So,
Well, she brings a stickball bat with her,
oh,
right? I go, what's this for? She goes, in case anybody tries to do anything.
was your mom tough? Was she tough as a younger woman?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Joe
my mom
Pesci.
was too. My mom had a set up. She had a set of knockers on her. My mother. Oh my god.
So we're looking for him, Joe. I point him out. She goes, "You're going to take him out, or I'm going to take you out." That's what you
That's
said,
what my mother.
right?
I
Right?
don't want to fight this guy, Mom. I was like 9 years. I don't want to fight. She goes, what did you say? She goes, you got two choices here. She says, you go and whip his ass, or I'm whipping your ass all the way home. Which
Well,
one do you want?
I pounded him, and she loved it. But my dad was
Yeah,
even worse because here's what
yeah.
happened with him, right?
I didn't have a dad around, so I couldn't. He couldn't give me no advice.
Well,
So
my parents got separated when I was young, but
yeah,
I was like about 10 years old when this happened, right?
yeah,
There was somebody I was friends with when I was a kid, good friends. He did something. My brother pushed him or shoved him, got in a
yeah.
big fight with him. I don't know exactly what it was. I wasn't at home when it happened.
Right.
We go to the kid's house. My father's taking me there. He goes, "You're going to ring the doorbell and you're going to call him out." I go, "What? What?" Right?
Yeah, I know.
He goes, "You're going to ring the doorbell and you're going to call him out." What do you mean call him out? He goes, "You're going to walk. We're going to walk down the street with him, and you're going to pound his fucking head in good, right?" I
That's
go,
great,
"Otherwise, I'm going to pound your head in good."
Mike. Let me tell you something. You come from New York. I come from Chicago. We're only a few years apart in age. We have the same similarities with the way our mothers raised us. We have the same similarities of things that they made us do. I knew I felt this when the very first time I started talking. I remember I said the connection was there. You could almost feel the connection when you are with somebody in sync that say, I guarantee you he did some of the same things I did. And we were 3,000 miles apart from each other,
I
or
know.
2,000 miles, and never met, never, but we had the same type. My mother was not a very hands-on, lovey-dovey mom.
Is your mom
My
tall,
dad left her.
small? No, my mom's like
My mom
five
was
one.
small too, but my mother. I watched her. She stood up to any man. My mother could fight, and she
Joe,
told me,
she had Joe Pesci's temper like my
"Oh
mother
my God,
did,
my
if I
mother
heard
was a
wrong.
was a bull." But she got angry. See, my mother was so frustrated because my dad just left her. I mean, just for no reason, left her without me, my brothers, my sister, and she
Me
could
too.
never. But she loved my dad. She chased him. Back in those days, you couldn't get a divorce like you can today.
Oh
You had to
no,
go
you
to
know what?
court.
You
She
were like
contested it all the way.
you were like the Catholic Church, or you were
Yeah,
son and
she
things like
she
that.
she made herself sick, and I went, Ma, he doesn't want to be here. After 3 years, I go, I'm not giving up. It's my husband. He's coming home. Ma, it's 5 years. He ain't coming home. You know, and she finally gave up. But forget it. She wouldn't talk to the priest all the time, go down to church. and of course, Catholic, there's no room in the 70s or 80s for option for divorce. It wasn't even
No,
heard of under the Catholic Church.
you know what? Because you had to get an annulment, and that was like a
Exactly.
hassle.
But she and I thanked her, you know, but I took a lot of beatings from my mother because I started getting where I needed a father. I needed a father figure in my life. My uncle did the best he could. My grandfathers all died. So by the time what saved me is me going to work at Wrigley Field. That saved my life hands down.
Oh,
I
Joe, how was
remain that
that?
today. I
What
will
did you?
always be loyal to baseball.
I'm curious. What did you do? I love
I
baseball.
I muscled my way in through the guys that picked up the equipment at the airport to go in the locker room, and I was a locker room attendant, bat boy, Major League bat boy,
Oh,
for,
that's I always wanted to be one,
in the
Joe.
visiting teams at Wrigley Field.
It's not easy to get in.
It's not easy at all. You don't, those jobs are not in the newspaper. It's who you know and how you can do it. I
It's super
muscled
hard
my
to get
way
in.
in. I
Joe,
strong armed the fucking driver to get me in there
did you
as a
get gifts
13-year-old kid.
Did you get gifts and tips from the players?
I got great tips for the players. I had more money at 14 than I had when I was 35.
Well, Joe,
Guys like Joe Madlock would give you a $100 bill every morning, tell you go to Yum Yum Donuts to get me six cinnamon rolls, scrambled eggs, bacon, and orange juice. The whole bill would be like $9. Keep the change every morning.
Wow.
Every morning.
Joe, and the thing is, and you probably got to see the game. It must have been so cool.
I was working the game. I was on the field with them while they were playing the game. I was in a dugout. So
whoa.
I met some of the great. I was on the visiting side. I started playing the game. I got real good, but I was around the greatest era of baseball. I met guys like Willie McCovey, Lou Brock, Gary Carter,
Whoa, one of my favorites.
Pete Rose. Every major player, Hall of Famers, I was around. I went to dinner with them. They treated me like if they come in the next time in town, they didn't forget who you were. I took care of the players. I did whatever they needed.
You ever meet Willie Mays or Billy Martin?
I never met Billy Martin. I never met Willie Mays, but I met Willie McCovey. McCovey,
he's awesome.
Lou Brock. You know,
Lou Brock, all great guys that I loved growing up. It's like, what about what do you call it? Billy Martin was definitely a scrapper.
Yeah, my friend that I worked with at the Ranger organization, he lived in New York, and he was a bad kid. And George Steinbrenner, he had spray painted some stuff on the Yankees stadium, and security went out there and caught him. And George Steinbrenner just happened to be coming to the ballpark and saw the kid being taken by security. So he called security, told him to bring this kid to his office. And instead of pressing charges, he said, come with me, kid. Took him by his hand, took him down to the Yankees locker room with Mickey Mantle, Joe, all these great players. He said to the clubhouse guy, this is a true story. Ray Negron, he tells it all the time. So Ray says, I go in there, I'm with all these Yankees, Billy Martin, everybody. He said, and George tells the clubhouse manager, give him a bat boy uniform. He's your new bat boy.
Whoa.
And he's still with the Yankees today, 50-something years later. And he says Billy Martin was like a dad to him because he never had no adult figure in his life. He was a wild kid, wild Hispanic kid.
Billy didn't take any crap from people either.
No, he didn't. But the stories he has and the guys he's been around, oh my God. And he's still with the Yankees. Ray Negron is still with the Yankees. And he works in the PR department, public relations department, and he helps out the community stuff for the kids. He's older now. He's probably in his late 60s now. And, you know, he 50-something years with the Yankees. And he talks about how George Steinbrenner was like a father to him. Billy Martin was like a father to him. And he tells some great stories, man. He just was on, Chaz Palminteri just had him on not too long ago and interviewed him.
Whoa, because, Joe, I wanted to ask you, as a huge baseball fan, right? The White Sox scandal would the
1919 White Sox scandal with Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Did any of those guys ever get into their Hall of Fame, or they blocked them?
None of them. They all got blacklisted. The only guy that didn't take money was Shoeless Joe Jackson, and he didn't get in.
That's horrible because, first of all, right?
Yeah.
They were threatened by the real mob in those days. You know,
Arnold Rothstein fixed that whole World Series.
And the thing is, Joe, it was either throw the game or it was their life.
Right.
You think that the museum would understand that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shoeless Joe was the only one that said he didn't take the money, and they penalized him as a team. They couldn't just say, okay, he did participate. They knew he didn't, but it was a team thing. The whole team got blacklisted. Now, to this day, there's two guys that should be in the Hall of Fame that I'll never see the Hall of Fame. Now, one of them, he did an injustice to baseball. The other guy, his team did an injustice to the baseball, but the injustice that he did not participate in fixing that World Series, but because he was on that team, he got penalized. Joe Jackson, his family, his grandkids, his great-grandkids, his great-great, all have been trying to get him in the Hall of Fame. It's never going to happen. He's part linked to one of the worst scandals in baseball history. The other one is
Unbelievable.
the other second biggest scandal is even though he didn't bet he didn't bet against his own team, but he lied for 25 years and didn't and lied that he said he didn't bet no baseball. It was only the horses. And then the night before he wrote the book where he was telling all, he went on national TV and told him, I did bet baseball. I bet my own team, but I didn't bet against them. 25 years later, it was too late. Now, Pete advocated for himself every day. The night before he died, he just died last year. The
Pete
night
Rose,
before he died, he was at an autograph signing with Johnny Bench, Pete Rose. He was there with Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Dave Concepcion, his agent, and another big red machine guy, Johnny Bench. And they took a group picture. And Johnny even said something to Tony Perez. Pete looks something bad. He was already Pete was in a wheelchair. No one even I didn't even hear he was in a wheelchair. But he went to that event. He gave this interview that night, 12 hours before he died, and he said this. He's already instructed his two sons, Tyler and Pete Rose Jr., and his wife. When he dies, no one better try to advocate him into the Hall of Fame because no one would deserve to see that in his family. If he couldn't see it, no one needs to see it because he's the one that broke the records. And he was very strong about that.
Well, see, the crazy thing is, right, even if they wanted to show him mercy and let him off the hook now.
They lifted it now. He's eligible to be voted now for it. They lifted it. He don't want it. He wouldn't want it.
No, because even if they didn't lift it, right, they figured if they let him off the hook, it would encourage others.
Listen, he made a bad mistake. He knows that. You want to keep him banned from baseball? I was all for that. You don't want him to, but here's what pisses me off about MLB. Now I've got a lot of dealings in baseball. I worked the 10 years in the major league side and 25 years in the minor leagues. And I'm gonna tell you something. I know how these people are. Now, Pete didn't deserve to ever manage again. I agreed with that 110%. He shouldn't. But when they needed an ambassador to come out and bail out baseball, they would call Pete to come to the big games.
Of course.
They would call Pete to come and be an ambassador.
They
needed him. And he has the longest standing ovation in baseball history. When he came forth on that All-Star game, no one has a standing ovation more than Pete Rose ever did in the history of the game.
Well, because, Joe, what's crazy with Hank Aaron, right?
Yep.
He broke Babe Ruth's record back in 1974, right? Sadly, jerk-offs were threatening him not to break the record. How crazy is that?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take away from our fans, but I should talk baseball with you all day, Mike. Let's get back to what we're doing here.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to distract it because this is my one fault I have. We're doing a mob show and I'll sit there and I'll forget about the mob show and I'll talk baseball the rest of the day.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's a bad fault I got. I got to break that habit.
Okay. So first person I want to talk about is Paul Castellano.
All right, let me get to the video room. So I'm going to, just to give the people, in case they don't know who Paul Castellano is, I'm sure everybody does, a little briefing on Paul Castellano, and then you can go into your story.
Paul Castellano learned at the feet of the greatest organized crime leader that ever existed.
Paul Castellano wasn't a real gangster. Paul was a businessman.
When Paul became the boss of the Gambino family, there was a tremendous rift from day one.
This guy's sitting there in his silk robe and his velvet slippers and his big white house, and he's taking every dollar we got.
And he was very greedy. When he took over the family, he wanted everything.
John Gotti said, he's useless. Let's get rid of him.
He, in effect, wrote a death warrant for himself.
Long Island, New York, January 1983. Roy DeMeo, a made member of the Gambino crime family, said goodbye to his son.
Now, Mike, so we can keep up the part. Now, Roy DeMeo probably stayed around a lot longer in the business because of a guy like Paul Castle who used him quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe we're talking about Roy DeMeo a little bit today, too. But I just wanted to give you a little start here so the people could understand Paul. We already know what they established. He was greedy. He starved all his guys. But Paul, the reason we're showing him is because you want to talk about how he was his wife and him, his wife especially told him, you made a promise to keep our children clean. and we'll watch a little bit more, and then you could tell
Okay, definitely.
Yeah. So let's go back and watch a little bit more
and
about
left
this.
home in his Cadillac.
I knew beforehand that my father's days were numbered. I started bargaining with God, saying, please just let him come home tonight.
Roy DeMeo had made a name for himself as the enforcer for Gambino boss Paul Castellano. DeMeo also earned huge profits from pornography and auto theft rackets. But DeMeo had been subpoenaed to testify about the Gambino auto theft ring. And Castellano made an executive decision. DeMeo had to go. When DeMeo didn't return home that night, Albert figured his father was on the run.
I had a plan set up with him. If he didn't show up at home, it was the beginning of him going into the wind, going on a lam.
Following the plan, Albert waited patiently for his father to make contact.
I didn't want to report him missing because I wanted to give him lead time. So that was the plan. And then finally, I reported him missing.
We had an alert out with the police department to look for that Cadillac.
8 days later, the cops finally tracked down DeMeo's caddy in a Brooklyn parking lot and discovered that DeMeo hadn't made it into the wind.
When we popped the trunk, the first thing we saw was the curled up body of Roy DeMeo.
Castellano gave the order to kill him. The next thing we know, Mr. DeMeo was found in his trunk with bullet holes in his head.
It was a testament to Castellano's clout as one of the mob's most powerful bosses.
So that gives them a little background on Paul Castellano. Obviously, those old timers. When and Mike, I want you to go ahead and pick up from here. When they got nervous of anybody being indicted, they didn't take a chance. There was no taking a chance. You just clipped the guy. There's no taking that chance.
Well, Paul has an unusual background because, first of all, was Carlo Gambino's first cousin, right? And I think Carlo married his sister, which is kind of crazy, right? But that was his first cousin. But
Right.
Paul started off as a butcher, as a civilian. But
That's
the
right. He was a
bottom line about him is
butcher. That's right.
that Gambino, the whole thing, went back to Sicily with the mob. They were well connected there and powerful in Sicily and came to America. So in a way, Paul was brought into it. You know what I mean, right? Like Carlo.
From Carlo, right? Correct, from Carlo?
Yeah, definitely brought into it in a way, right? Okay, his wife made him swear that he would not bring his sons into the mob, right? And he did. They had like construction business, concrete, poultry, all kinds of like high.
He owned a lot of chicken outlets, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Because and the thing about that is like, what's really crazy? I heard his sons were disappointed they weren't going to be in the life.
Yeah.
Right? But the thing is, you know why? They grew up around it. They seen it. They couldn't hide it from them. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
No matter how hard they try to hide it, they probably like the cars, the woman, the glamour. They wanted part of that. You know what I mean, right? They didn't want to be some guy working in the butcher shop all day long. They wanted to be part of that. And thank God his wife kept him out of it because she told him, never, no, I will not marry you if you bring our kids into this.
Mike, wouldn't you say that, like you just said that a second ago, the kids being around that life, seeing their father with all these people coming to pay respect to him, all these people coming to the house with fancy cars, fancy jewelry, and I believe they felt, you got no education, Dad. You're a millionaire. Look at how people respect you. And his thing was, you're going to get an education. You think that I'm a tough guy? No. And then he pointed out to them who the real tough guys were because he wasn't a gangster. He was afraid of the FBI. He knew they were the real tough guys.
Oh, definitely, because he like I said, knew. This is a story about him too. That probably a couple of years before he died, he was with his maid. They were driving someplace.
Is it true he got a penal implant?
I don't really know. That's what the rumor was, right? But he was driving with his maid one day. Supposedly, some kids cut him off in their car, cursed him out.
I heard this story. I know. Go ahead.
Right?
This is a good one.
And the maid took down the license plate number, right?
Right.
So some mob guys grabbed these kids somehow. I think they blindfolded them. They probably did.
He brought him back to his house, didn't he?
Took him to his house, and he goes, obviously, you guys know who I am now, right?
Right.
He was terrified. Who wouldn't be, right? And he goes, I'm not going to beat you up and have you killed. I just want to teach you a lesson, not to mess with an old man because you don't know who you're messing with in life.
You never know.
Right?
Yes, he did. I heard that story, yeah.
Anybody else, would have had them maybe murdered, gave them beaten them a lifetime.
Good
Am I
chance they could
right?
have got their legs broken for sure.
I think DeMeo would have hung from a
Oh,
hook.
yeah, would have carved them up and put their body parts all over the place.
He
So
definitely would have. He wouldn't let them get away with
you
that. Now,
like you take him as being soft. I don't. I took that as a giving a kid a break. To listen, kid, you never should judge anything until you know the facts.
absolutely. And the thing is, that blew my mind when I first heard it. I'm thinking, you know what? At the end of the day, he's only human like us.
Right. Exactly. Now, do you think, based on what I mean, like we learn a lot of stuff through news media, which is not always accurate. You learn a lot of stuff. Where you learn the real knowledge is if you got anybody you knew growing up that was in that life, or anybody that's a friend that grew up in that life, or relatives that's in that life. But it's pretty hard to get the real 411 because the media is going to hype it up.
Of course,
You
because
know, the movies are definitely going to change a ton of things. So if you're trying to just be a mob historian where you're a fan of it and you go off the news media and the movies, you're not going to get an accurate picture of the person.
no,
You're
because
just not.
that's why I like listening to Michael
Right.
Franchise, because he really was in the life, deep in the life. Not
Deep
only
in,
that,
yeah,
he's seen it all. He's
that's
been
right.
was through it, right? And he's not a fake movie actor. You
And
know
he's
what I
a
mean?
smart guy. The guy was he was in school to be a doctor. He was in medical school when his father got an unjustifiable 50-year sentence. He loved his father and he went to visit his dad in prison and he told his dad, I'm going on the streets. I'm quitting school. No, you're not. And he says, I've already made my mind up. You're not going to change it. So then his father responded was, well, since I can't change your mind and this is what you want, you're not going on the street like some wild cowboy.
No,
You're going to report to a guy will call you tomorrow. And now you're going to report to him. You're going to go on the street. You're going to go on the street the right way. I'm not
I,
putting
I
on the
heard
street
his
like that.
father asked him, was he capable of killing people before he
That's
went
right.
to
That's
murder,
right. He did
right?
ask him that. I have to ask one question before I do this. If it comes to it where you have to kill somebody, and he goes, for whatever reason it is, do you have it in you to pull? And he looked at his father and he said, because Michael tells the story right away, I do. If I have to, yes, I can. That's all I
Well,
got to know.
it's crazy because you could, well, it was a movie, but you can compare that to Michael Corleone after Vito being
Right.
shot and assassinated
Right.
almost.
Well, I
And
mean,
what?
Vito had to know Michael was the brains out of all the brothers. He was the smart one of all the brothers. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Now,
Oh,
did he?
definitely, because like
No, he didn't.
he, Sonny was a psychopath. Am I right
Sonny
or
was
wrong?
he was a muscle psychopath guy that would kill anybody. And Fredo was really dumb. He just wasn't too
He didn't
kind.
have Fred didn't have the mental capacity to be a
He
boss.
did not have the mental capacity to do anything, not even drive his father around.
Now look what happened. Like he panicked when they went after his father because like that's the difference. Like when they went after Vito, Sonny would have unloaded his gun on him. Am I right or
Yeah.
wrong? And chased him down the street. Am I right or wrong? Right?
You know, there's a lot of guys. Joe Gallo would have just lit him up. He wouldn't even ask questions.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, the guys like that. That's what when I get to talk to Michael and I don't try to see. One thing when you got someone that you know for a long time, I don't want to. I don't ask him about his life, his bother.
Of course not.
I'm not going to bother him with that. It'd be very, very bad for me to do that. He calls, he'll check. We text a lot. How's your family? Are you doing good? He goes, keep me updated on the podcast. Keep the grind. Don't give up. Keep doing it. You guys, just keep doing it. He says, just remember though, it's how you carry yourself and how the people you put yourself around is it going to be everything in your life. He said, if you put yourself around undesirable people, you're going to be thought of as an undesirable person.
No, he's right because
and he's right. He says, listen, you make choices, you got to make the right choices. And he goes, I'm in your corner, always have been since I met you. He says, I brought drama to him when I first got in this business, and he did not like it. He called me up and he said, listen, I told you in the beginning, I'll do anything I can to help you. But when your drama is coming into my world, I can't have that.
Well,
And
Joe,
I understood that,
He, like I said, he was going to school to be a doctor. He could
right.
He could be the head of of any major corporation in the country.
You better believe it. The guy was brilliant. Brilliant. He owned he's one of the few mobsters. He had his own plane. He had his own helicopter. He had a boat. He owned his own. He used to take from his house, wherever the helicopter was, instead of taking the 55, 60-minute ride to downtown man, he was there in 10 minutes to land on the roof. He was there in his chopper. He owned his own chopper. He had a legitimate movie company. That's how he met his wife, Cam. She was an actress, a dancer, and a singer in a movie
wow.
that he was at in Miami. And even Miami gave him the key to the city. But at this point, he was already being heavily watched by the FBI. So the FBI, just to be over FBI, they saw Michael and this lady talking. They purposely went after him while he was at the movie set to make him look bad in front of the woman that he fell in love with. And he'll tell you straight up, listen, I didn't leave the life because I had to. I didn't leave the life because they were going to kill me. I didn't leave the life because I wanted to. I left the life because I chose my children and my wife. I was going to go do my time. If I didn't go with if I had a wife or my children, I would have came back to the life. I chose it for strictly to be with my family, and I knew that life was nothing for a family. He goes, I took that, and because I learned what God was, I became a very true Christian man, and that's why I left. I didn't leave because they were trying to kill me. I didn't leave because I had to. I was giving them $2 million a week. I was making plenty of money. I had every legitimate business possible. I didn't believe in the going the rough way unless we really had to. Every guy under me, he said, every guy that worked under him, he gave a choice. If you want to be a made guy, this is what he said. He told him in a meeting, I'm not the guy to be with then because I'm not going to propose none of you. And they go, why? He goes, because if I do that, someone's going to steal you from me. You're all good earners. Are you making money with me? Fist over money, making hands over fist. He said, why do you want to be a made guy? Just stay with me and you become a millionaire and you can retire.
No,
That was his way he approached his people. He told them, I will not make none of you guys. I will not put you in for a membership, any of you guys. Because I handpicked you guys and you guys are the best.
I remember him talking about something like that. He said that every young kid that wanted to be in the mob was fascinated by it, right? He said after he became a wise guy that his boss handed him a bag. And they always thought that, they could give me a ton of money when we get in. He goes, the bag was empty. He goes, what's this? He goes, you have to bring us money. We don't give you anything.
Well, here's this thing he said, too. He said, people think it was a glamorous life. Yeah, they got a lot of privileges, and they were treated like movie stars. But let me tell you something. People misconstrue like when you go to prison, they go and take care of your family. That's not true.
No.
They don't do nothing
on your own.
Your family.
You're on your own because, Joe, that's the thing. A lot of misconception in the movies, like, that's what lures a lot of young kids in because they think you're going to make piles of money. First of all,
and
Joe,
that's not true, he said. It's not true at all.
There are guys in the life, like I said, right, that are not earners, that are fucking struggling. Am I right? I'm sure.
He said the guys that are not earners, they're degenerate gamblers. They're addicts. They can't rub two nickels together, and they're paying VIGs the whole life just to stay alive to the organization.
They send them out to do people in. That's
they were there for one reason. When they needed someone done, they went to those guys because they were so in debt with them. They knew they would do the job. He said that he liked Henry Hill so much. He really liked Henry Hill, but Henry was nothing like they made him out to be in Goodfellas.
No, I don't think.
And he was not liked by a lot of people. And he was a bad earner, a bad addict, and he contributed nothing. But he was good muscle when people needed him. He was there with those guys. He could never be made because his mother was Irish, his father was his mother was Italian, his father was Irish. But he generally liked him because he said he was in prison and he was there, and they accidentally brought him where Michael was, and he was supposed to be in protective custody, and he wound up in the main yard. And then I guess one of the guards said, "Look who they brought here by mistake." The feds accidentally brought him to the wrong prison.
Wow.
And he went over to talk to him. He says, listen, this must be a mistake. So he mentioned to the guard, let me talk to the lieutenant, told the lieutenant, and that night they got him out of there. They didn't realize they put him where they put him.
No, because
I think that's what they said.
I think Michael said, as much as I loved Henry, I would have had to do something.
Right, he knows that.
He said, as much as I loved the guy, he goes, I would have had to take him out. And
the biggest question that Michael's asked all the time, which I think is the most ridiculous question you could ask anybody. Why would you want? Here's the fact: if he was a made guy, and he was a big earner, don't ask him. Did he have to take anybody out? Because you know that answer without even asking him. So why would you put a man on the carpet like that to ask him that?
You know what it is? They want to hear all blood and guts. Like they want to hear.
Not everybody has Sammy Gravano immunity where he could talk about all 32 murders.
Oh yeah, but not. And the thing is, like, not only that. they want to hear all blood and guts. They want to,
Right.
like
Michael wasn't
that
like that.
TV show
He
years
was not
ago,
like that.
Growing Up Gotti. Right?
Some guys got offended when he called himself. What's the real term of what he was? It's captain. Kappa regime. Michael was so old school. He went by the old traditions back from the old country. He was a Kappa regime, and that's how he still addresses it today. He was made Halloween night, 1975. He became a probationer in the life in the 1973 when he was under direct order of Joe Colombo. That was his first boss. He grew up with Colombo's kids. He knew
Yeah.
and Persico and all those guys. He wanted to become working for Persico when he became a member and became successful. But he raised about Joe Colombo. Joe Colombo was a great class act guy, but not very liked by other bosses. They felt he was a threat to them because Joe Colombo didn't tolerate none of that craziness. And Joe Bonanno, at the end, we all know what happened to him. Joe Bonanno retired and claimed it with Arizona. They forced him out of New York.
They pushed him out because Joe would have been taken out if they didn't push him out.
They were going to kill Joe Bonanno. The commissioner was going to kill him because he did some shady shit. He was in the drug business. They know he was, and he wouldn't share nothing with the other families.
Joe, I'm surprised he lived to be as old as he did.
He died a very old man in his bed. But then he writes the book. He goes to Arizona, and he writes the book, which gave up everything, and they couldn't. And they still didn't go kill him. They still didn't go kill him.
Helped the RICO Act.
Exactly. They sent word to him. I know that they, out of respect, they sent someone down to Arizona. Would you please kind of tell our former friend that was on the seat here, because he had his own seat on the commission, because he was one of the old mustache guys that came from Sicily, who was under Maranzano. That was his right. He was the right hand man to Maranzano. But Charlie liked him, so Charlie respected him, and he even saved Charlie a couple times. Charlie and Joe were really good friends, but Joe knew that you had to grow. But he, at the end there, I don't know what happened to him, man. He went out and he made a book in his 80s, and they sent the message to him that he not to do the book. Please don't.
Yeah, but how crazy is that, Joe? He was an old timer from the old days.
Yep.
He knew that Maranzano and those guys were never wrote books, did crap, crazy stuff like that. He knows it was a secret society.
Now, he knows who took him out, but he didn't do nothing about it.
They never would have wrote books about it.
No.
Never.
Right. Joe Bonanno was a very powerful man in this world. He was one of the guys that came over to this country and stood his ground. He didn't get no one to fight his battles. He didn't carry a gun. When someone came in his territory, he went and paid to visit himself by himself and straighten it out.
Well,
like a man's supposed to. He didn't send nobody over to see them. He did it himself.
Well, Joe, can we go to the next guy?
Yep. What are we going to next?
I
got here's what we got. Okay. We just did
Thomas Bilotti.
Oh, I don't have Bilotti here, Mike. I couldn't find nothing on Bilotti. You could talk about him. I just don't have no video on him.
Can I talk about him if it's okay?
You could yeah, of course. Whatever you want to say about. I couldn't find really nothing on Bilotti. Nothing too much on him.
That's okay. Thomas Bilotti actually was Paul Castellano's chauffeur that was murdered with him that night.
Correct.
Right. He I know a couple of things about him. First of all, he had 10 children. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, I heard that.
Right. None of his kids were allowed into life. He didn't want them having a harder story. Right.
That's right.
He also sadly had a son who was super autistic.
Yeah.
That he really took well care of, and when he got killed, his wife at the time had a major nervous breakdown. So it was hard what happened with his family. But the thing is, at least he kept his kids out of it. You know what I mean? Right. He didn't want them in it, and he knew the horror it would bring to them and a curse on them at the end. Because, I think the reason why some of the guys bring their kids in because they feel safe.
An ally, someone that they know they're going to trust.
Like they bring their brothers in, their cousins, their kids, right? Because they feel like they're safe, right? They're not.
They have an ally next to them.
They're not going to betray them. You know what I mean, right?
Normally, they're right.
People haven't betrayed literal people.
Yeah, but you're 100% right. If you bring your son in, if you bring your brother in, you pretty much are guaranteed that loyalty. If you get in, you get yourself in water. You got someone that you could honestly trust that's gonna tread with you, which is true in some cases. There was a couple betrayals in some families, but Bilotti followed the same protocol as Castellano.
Well, I kind of admire him in a way. It was a noble thing not to give his kids all kinds of grief in their lives after that. You know what I mean?
Right.
He could have.
Let's compare this. Paul Castellano was not a street guy. He was more of a banker type CEO guy who was a racketeer. So he understood real life how bad the business was, and he wanted to bring his kids in, right? Tommy
Yes.
Bilotti was his driver, bodyguard, friend, and
He
Paul
was a total
taught him a lot of
gangster.
ways to be more of a racketeer than to be a muscle.
He was
Because
a
Tommy
total
used to be
gangster.
muscle in his younger years, but he latched on to Paul, and Paul taught him all the right way. John Gotti was strictly a gangster, 110%. Was the tough guy. No one messed with him. No one dared get his face. So a gangster, a guy that lives, breathes that, will all naturally be proud to have his son made. That's what he would want.
But Bilotti also had a bad temper on him. He was an
Right, I know
enforcer
that.
for sure.
I know that.
You know,
Yeah.
what do you call it? Somebody that I knew years ago, right, that was a comedian. He passed away like 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He was doing a benefit show, right?
Right.
And this is years ago, like maybe late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And Bilotti was in the crowd, right? And he started heckling him. He had no idea who he was.
Oh,
Right.
Were you telling me this the other day? I think you told me this last week.
He was
weeks
heckling
before.
the life out of Bilotti. He had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
So after the show, Bilotti said to the people running it, I'm going to whack that fucking piece of shit right now.
Yeah.
Right? And the people put it together and go, no, he's a civilian. He's a good friend. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. They had to get that guy out of there in a hurry.
You know, Mike, it's funny you said that because there's a lot of guys that they're really not bad guys. I'm talking just normal. But when you go and if you're a hardworking man or you got a company and you go out and you drink a little bit, alcohol will change anybody. You know that you drank
Of
a lot.
course.
You know the extreme. I was an addict. You know, I could sit here to blow my face and say I'm not an addict like that. I don't go out to hurt. But if I sit here and say that it doesn't alter my personality, I'd be lying to myself and lying to you. Because no matter what, when you put drugs or alcohol, you alter everything about your drinking process, about how your body operates. So you do become another person. And then over time, you actually become another personality. You're this person when you're sober, this person and it very goes hand to hand together. So for a lot of years, I would always say, I'm not like that guy. I'm not a scumbag drug addict. I go to work every day. I pay my bills. But you know what? I was just as bad as them, no matter what I think.
Absolutely, because I wasn't homeless with a bottle of wine in my hand on a mattress.
Right.
But I was just like that guy that was there drinking like that. No
different. Addict and alcoholics and alcoholic. There's no excuse if you're a better alcoholic or a better drug addict, you're still doing something that you're not meant for us to do.
Joe, that reminds me, March 17th.
My son's birthday is on March 17th.
Oh, your son's birthday?
My oldest boy, yeah, it's March 17th.
I'll be sober 29 years at that.
Ah, is that what day of the week is that?
I'm not sure.
That's a Tuesday, I think. Because next Monday, this is the 8th. Next Sunday will be the 15th. So we'll have a little celebration on next Sunday. So
Thank you.
That's what we'll do for you since your birthday's on the 17th.
I haven't. You know what's really crazy? The last time I drank was St. Patrick's Day on purpose. I did, right?
Yeah.
I had about 12 or 13 high-end foreign import beers, right?
Yeah.
And you know what the crazy thing is? I drank with my childhood friend who just died a couple of years ago. He's the last person I drank with. How wild is that?
That's wild. Mike, now, I know you've been you said 29 years is coming up to?
Yeah.
Now, that's all, you completely gave up you don't even have a glass of wine if you have it at a nice restaurant? Not even wine?
I wouldn't go near anything.
That's good. Because
people tend to me when I went out recently.
Yeah.
Someone's like, have a glass of wine. I go, no, it'll be the end of me.
Would you drink a non-alcoholic wine?
No.
No?
No. You know what? I can't, because you know what, Joe? That now alcoholic is tempting. You know what I mean?
Right. See, that's the same way I feel. I know a lot of people would say that will drink a lot of beer and they don't drink it, but they feel by drinking the non-alcoholic beer, it's like habit for them, but they know they're not drinking. But I think that can still lead you down the bad roads.
Of course.
It still puts you bad in the pattern. You're drinking now, you might be non-alcoholic, but all of a sudden you're going to say, damn, I want the real shit.
Of course. You'll be saying that. It's like.
No. It's like I could walk into a room of addicts. I could walk in today. I'm that strong. I could walk into a room, but do I want to put myself in that position? Absolutely not. Do I know if it's offered to me, I'll say no, thank you. I'm sorry, I just don't do it no more. I will definitely do that. But I'm putting myself in a vulnerable position because eventually you're going to sit around and if you're not doing nothing and you got a bunch of people drinking and eventually something's going to come that way a memory or something, and you're gonna say, you know what the hell? I ain't done it in 30 years. Let me try it. And you
Of
know what?
course.
If
I
you
mean,
do it,
Joe, are you
then
a
you might as
smoker?
well
I
say you're gonna
smoked.
die.
Were you a smoker? I smoked cigarettes too for
I never
years.
smoked cigarettes in my life. Never.
Oh, you're so lucky because
Yeah.
I started smoking at 12.
Yeah. Not me. No. I tell
I
you why,
stopped.
Mike. My grandmother was dying of lung cancer from cigarettes. My grandfather smoked non-filter Camels. My grandfather did.
Oh, that's what my grandfather did.
He
Crazy, right?
those little Camels that were no filter. My grandmother, they were chain smokers. They
Oh,
both
forget it. A couple of
diagnosed with
packs a
cancer.
day.
Yeah, my grandfather was probably 4 or 5 packs a day too. And I used to be a little pain in the ass kid. I would always run around and want to pick up cigarette butts and put them on my mouth. My grandmother says, "Oh, you like to touch the stuff you ain't supposed to touch." So I figured, oh, I'm in trouble again. She says, "You really want to smoke, don't you?" I said, "Yes, I do." She goes, "You think you're an adult, huh?" She goes, "After dinner, we're going to go into the parlor." She called the den the parlor, my
Oh,
grandmother.
definitely. My grandmother called that too.
The parlor. We're going to go to the parlor and have a smoke.
Joe,
So I'm all
I love
excited.
that
I'm all
name.
excited. I
I
just got
haven't
done
heard
eating a
that name in a
burger.
while. I love that.
I took
name.
my bath. I got my pajamas on. She's bringing me into the parlor, and I'm going to smoke. She goes, "You got conditions here." She goes, "You're going to smoke that, and you're going to smoke the whole damn thing, and you're going to inhale it. And if you get sick and throw up, I don't want to hear it. You're going to finish that cigarette." Well, by God, I got so sick for a week that I never touched a cigarette again. She did it because she didn't want me to smoke because she knew what it did to you.
Oh, definitely. Because Joe, you know what's crazy? You mentioned the power. My family can be sarcastic, right?
Yeah.
My grandmother, I said to my grandmother, "Where's the power?" She goes, "You're standing in it." I said, "She told me one day."
Do you know my grandmother, my mother's grandmother? Did you ever bring a girl home to meet your mom?
Definitely, yes.
All right. So did your mom take it in a bad way or a good way?
She's like, "Look, as long as she's a good person, I
Yeah.
don't care." But they gave me the third degree.
My grandmother, every time I brought someone home to meet her, it was a butana. You put your butana. She was a butana. Get the
Of
fuck out of
course,
my house,
that's
you
her favorite
butana.
word.
Everybody was a whore I brought home.
Joe, that's her favorite word.
I said, I like this one. What are you doing? She goes, "What'd she say?" She just called you a whore.
Oh no, and nobody's ever good enough for us.
Never. My grandmother said, anybody I would bring would be. Are you fucking kidding me, Grandma? Come on. This is my mother's mother, who I didn't get along with. My mother, the one I was talking about that gave me the lesson with the cigarette. That was my whole world, and she left me when I was very young. But my mother's grandmother did not like me too much. She did not. She said I looked too much like my father. He was no good, and I was going to be no good just like him. That's what she used to tell me.
Oh God, my grandma used to criticize my dad too all
Yeah.
the time because all the time she let him have it. You know what I mean?
You know, I find the older school generation people, they had a tendency, they would talk about your father to you. They would crush him. They would talk about, and they would go around, parents get divorced, and they would tell the kids everything about fault about the father.
Oh, of
I could
course.
never do that. I didn't believe in that.
Joe,
Why do I need to tell my
no,
kids anything that if their mother was bad or did things that she shouldn't have done? Why would I share that with my kids?
no, because it was like me too. Because it was like my grandmother. Your dad's a bum. He's no good.
Yeah,
Right?
all the time.
And you know what she would say? Your grandfather's brother's a drunk. He's no
Yeah.
good. You know what I mean?
She used to harp her own husband. The man wanted to just have a drink. He was dying too, but my other grandfather. And she wouldn't even, she'd find his bottle. She would terrorize my grandfather to find his little pint bottle to dump it down she would go right in front of him, pour it down the sink and tell him, and then laugh at him. And I go, "What are you doing? The man fucking gives you a beautiful home. He works his ass off. He pays all the bills. You lay around like a mummy every fucking day in that nightgown of yours and that fucking robe, and you don't do shit for him. And he can't have a drink." So he started letting me hide the bottle for me, put money under my pillow every day. And she got mad. She hated me. She said, "I know you're the one doing it. Where's it at?" And I go, "I don't know what you're talking about. If I knew where it was, I wouldn't tell. You're the last person I tell. Leave my grandfather alone." So I used to tell him.
No, but the thing is, oh, Joe, you have the list in front of you. Who's next, right? I want you to read it, and we'll talk about them.
You're talking about the list that you sent me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now. Yeah,
You know what? You tell me who's next, and we'll talk.
Yeah, I
about
definitely can do that. I can pull that up
anybody,
right now.
Joe, anybody you couldn't.
Here's what we got. Let me just tell you what I did get in video, so you know. Then I can pull the list out. So we did Paul Castellano, Bilotti. I have on the list, but I couldn't find a video. On videos, we did Paul. I got Roy DeMeo. I got.
Oh, you want to talk about him now?
We can talk about Roy, and then I'll pull the list. And I did Michael Francesi. I had a little bit of him. Joe Velacci. I got Joe Velacci too.
Oh, nice. Joe's an interesting one.
Yeah,
too.
Joe Velacci was also one that kept his kids out. And then the people that actually that brought their kids in, who was proud of it. Roy DeMeo brought his son in, and John Gotti Jr. went into the life too as well.
DeMeo's got a wild one.
So you want to do Joe Velacci next?
Okay, definitely.
Let's go to Joe Velacci. Now, everybody, you want to explain to them who Joe Velacci was? He was you can tell them a little back history before I put it.
Joe Velacci was the first made guy in the Genovese family at the time, right? He went in the witness protection program, turned evidence against his bosses.
First guy ever to rat on a mob, was he?
First guy ever to rat on a mob back in 1963.
That's right.
And he in the mob since the late 1920s. He was around the time of Maranzano and Masseria. They were, he was at that time period, and they inducted him, I think, at that time period.
That's right.
And the thing about him though was he had a son Dominic that he kept out of the mob, but when you think about it, it's kind of a weird situation because, like, let's say before Joe turned, right? He knew he was going to turn.
Right.
And they inducted Dominic. Maybe they went after Dominic before Joe did.
Right.
Maybe, or you think so or no?
Now, Joe Velacci, if I'm not mistaken, he was very old-fashioned, traditionally, how he courted his wife, but he married the daughter of a very famous mobster, the Profaci family.
Oh, yeah. No, because, Joe, do you think, in your opinion, right, his son Dominic, before Joe turned, the evidence and stuff, if he had him inducted,
they might have killed him.
You think the mob went after Dominic?
They probably would have. Well, they would look at, if you got one rat in the family, they were very big on that. That whole family was rats. You're about to take them all out.
Or they let him off the hook, you think? I don't know. But
I don't know. Back to those days, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Joe Velacci was loyal. He got a great big promotion. He owned his own restaurant. When the Mustache Pete's were all taken out, he became a driver, I believe, to Vito Genovese, didn't he?
Oh, definitely. You want to hear something crazy, Joe?
Yeah.
He made, this is back in the early 1930s or so, or late 20s, early 30s, I think. He was a chauffeur to Maranzano, I think.
Right, that's right. He was. He drove for one of the big old Mustache Pete's.
He was a chauffeur to him, his bodyguard, and he became a very close friend to him.
He was a tough guy, Joe Velacci.
They gave him some slot machines, right?
Yep, that's right.
So, in the 1920s or early 30s, Velacci was making $20,000 a week. How crazy is that off them?
Yep. Gambling was their biggest forte before drugs tainted them. Was slot machines and prostitution and alcohol. That was their living right there. The main thing was the street money they got from the lottery. The people going around collecting the little nickels and dimes from all the old ladies, and they would pick the numbers at the last race at Aqueduct, I believe it was Aqueduct. They would get the par mutual for the last race, who finished first, second, or third, and that's was to pick three numbers.
Oh, Joe, I was going to ask you your opinion, right?
Yeah.
Velacci, racketeer or gangster?
Gangster all the way, but he was smart. I give him the edge, and he was a little of both.
He had the best of both.
He was smart, though.
Right?
He was smart.
But his what do you call it? He died in prison. What do you call it? Yes. He was only like in his late. He wasn't that old, but the thing is, Genovese died in prison before he did.
Right. Well, he went to see the old way. Genovese sent for him in prison, and they talked privately, and there was a certain kind of ritual they did. It was them two, and God is the witness that everything they were going to talk about was going to be 100% honest. And basically, he told Joe to get his family in order before he was going to have him killed.
Oh yeah, because you know what heard happen. You know how the Italians kiss you on the cheeks like this,
That's
right?
It. If they kiss you on the lips, forget it. You're done.
He kissed them on the lips, Rich. You know what happened?
You're done.
Listen to how crazy this is. Velacci kissed him back on the lips.
That's right. That's correctly. Once Genovese kissed Velacci on the lips, he took that as he knew he had no out. He was in prison by himself. He knew that everybody was going to turn on him that was his friend there because they were going to be afraid of Genovese. So he did. And I thought that was the greatest thing I've ever heard of anybody do. He kissed the boss. He grabbed him and kissed him on the lips and right back at him.
In fact, Velacci murdered the wrong guy in prison. He thought it was a hitman coming after him.
Yeah, they tried coming after him hard, but he was a very strong guy. So let's go back and we'll play a little bit about a lot of people that might be. I don't think we got a younger crowd. We ain't really got a lot of people here today, but we got. I don't care. We could have one person, 100 people. They all deserve a good show. So the way I look at it.
Absolutely. That's how
So
I feel
let's
about
get
the stand up too.
we're going to Joe Valachi, was one of my very top people that I was very interested in. Even though he became a turncoat, he had very good reason to be. And a lot of people don't understand. They don't look at the whole picture. When you're
Of
pushed up
course,
against the
because
brawl, you're being put in the soup to take the blame for something you didn't do. That's gotta be. There's got to be a borderline where they could cross, because
Joe,
that's what happened with. Go
and the
ahead.
real Valachi, right? Charles Bronson played him in the movie, but
Played a great role.
the real Valachi looked a lot different than Bronson. He was like a heavy set, chunky guy.
Yep. I love Charles Bronson. He was one of my
Oh, he was
favorites.
awesome in that movie, right?
Joe Valachi, hitman for the mob. And the first man to break Omerta, the mafia's code of silence. Valachi was the first to give the world the phrase La Cosa Nostra. Valachi was the first to reveal the names of the bosses and their soldiers. He explained the mafia's structure, their rituals and secrets.
It was the first time anyone could pull back the curtain or paint the canvas of what it was like.
Valachi was the first to expose their bloody history of killings and executions. And knew where the bodies were.
You lived by the gun and by the knife, and you died by the gun and by the knife.
Valachi was the first to blow the lid on a secret empire worth $40 billion a year. And his revelations would change the nature of the battle between the FBI and the mafia forever.
Here we'll go now. Now it's actually we'll show a little bit of the prison thing. I don't know how depth we'll get. Then we can talk a little bit more about Valachi. Then we'll go to the next one, because we're going to stay on par to be out of here at 8:30. We'll talk a little bit more of Valachi. Go to the next guy, and I'm getting the list up for you now. So
Okay, thank you, Joe.
All right,
In 1962, 58-year-old Joe Valachi was serving 15 years in Atlanta State Penitentiary for heroin trafficking. And inside with him was his mafia boss of 30 years, Don Vito Genovese, head of one of the most powerful crime families in America.
Joe went back a long time with Vito. He was in one of Vito's crews, so they knew each other very well, and he always thought he was in Vito's good graces. But Vito was a homicidal maniac.
One day, Vito Genovese arranged for Valachi to be his cellmate. Genovese could do this because he controlled the prison wings with fear and intimidation. Valachi guessed something was up and had good reason to be nervous. Genovese believed that Valachi had put him in prison after squealing to the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. One night, Genovese turned to his cellmate.
You know, we take a barrel of apples, and in this barrel of apples there might be a bad apple. Well, this apple has to be removed, and if it ain't removed, it would hurt the rest of the apples.
Then, Genovese walked over to Valachi and kissed him on the cheek. It was the mafia's kiss of death. to let Valachi know he was the apple to be removed.
Joe Valachi knew what this meant. It meant he was now going to be killed. One way or the other, Vito was out to get him.
Consumed with fear, Valachi saw hitmen everywhere. On the morning of June the 22nd, 1962, he was out in the yard when he saw 3 prisoners coming towards him.
Yeah.
Thinking they had been sent by Genovese to kill him, he picked up an iron pipe left by construction workers and braced himself.
This was the guy. Didn't he kill one of these guys, Mike?
Yeah, one guy wasn't even in the mob. He just thought that there was one of the hitmen that sent after him.
Yeah. You see how observant he was, though? He knew once he got the kiss of death, but
he knew it because
he knew he had to watch his back.
The thing is, Joe, I couldn't even imagine how scary it was, because it wasn't like the witness protection program was fully around then. You know what I mean? He was very easy to get to.
It goes like this, Mike. I said this: when you go into prison, you got nowhere to run. You got no one to help you. You're by yourself. So whether you know how to fight, whether you never killed nobody, when you get put in those positions, if you don't take them, they're going to take you. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You have to make a choice. Do I want to live, or am I going to let them kill me? And you have to make the decision. There's no sitting down and dwelling about it, thinking it for days. When you know that you're going to be put in a situation, it could be at any time. They could have waited 6 months. They could have waited a month. They could have did it the next day.
Oh,
you
definitely.
know it's time to you're going to have to kill.
And like you said, the thing is, like you said earlier, his wife was related to Joe Pavacci.
That was Joe Pavacci. He married Joe Pavacci's daughter.
And the thing is, the crazy thing is that, like, even Joe couldn't protect him after that. No
one could. No one could. I mean, listen, he broke the ultimate rule. He did, but he was going to make sure that he lived to die on his own terms. And I got to commend the guy. He did. He wasn't a tough guy.
Major guts, because. Yeah. And the thing is, the sad thing is, even Pavacci couldn't pull him out of it. No.
Right. If he was not anywhere, shape, form a tough guy, they would have got him clean and he'd be a memory.
Oh, definitely.
Because he was a tough guy and he wasn't afraid to die with honor, he survived. That's
well, you know what? Maybe in a sick way they respected that, like Sonny Black in a way. When they knew he was going to meet to die, they respected him because he went. You know what I mean, right? Maybe they, in a sick kind of way, they respected Valachi, where it's like, he stood up to them.
Now, Mike, let me see today real quick. Today's mob guys, what's left, and apparently from what I'm reading now, that in New York there's 4 families that are still pretty strong, but they're not as open as like they were in the 60s or 70s. But they're still very much lucrative of making illegal money.
Well, I think even illegal money, because there's so many other things for them to do now. I mean, like, especially with the internet and things like that. I mean,
that's right.
It's Joe. They're more into corporate.
They're more corporate world today.
That's where big money is.
They're more being where they're their grandkids, they wanted to become lawyers with lawyer backgrounds, put them in a legitimate business.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's still tied to bad money. But it's run all that stuff's bought with illegal money. But they're saying that there's a guy that was a boss in I believe in the banana family. Now you heard who Gene Borello is, right? You know who Gene Borello is?
Oh, he's a young kid, right?
Gene Borello. Well, he's a young guy. Yeah, he's out here in Florida. He's not too far from where I live, and he gets himself in a lot. The feds are always watching him. Everywhere he goes, he gets pulled over. He beat up his girlfriend last year. He got arrested. He's been back. The feds come and take him. And he's a tough kid. His uncle was the real gangster, but he was well liked because they could count on him to go do a piece of work. But he's a young kid with a big mouth.
Was he a member or an associate?
I don't know. I don't think he ever got made. But he did a lot of wet work. I know that.
No, but
there's this guy that was a captain who's out here in Florida.
He's definitely a tough guy for sure.
He was a tough guy. He's definitely a tough guy. He definitely can handle his own. But he does stupid stuff, and they're all because he's young and. He tried to be adapt to his generation, how he did things. He's loud. He's good friends with The other guy that was with the Gotti crew, but he could never be made because he was Armenian and Italian.
Oh, I know him. Elite.
He does the show, but he started a whole thing now where he's in the communities helping boys clubs. He does everything for kids.
Oh, he's Albanian, right? I think.
He's Albanian. That's what I mean. He's Albanian. Mostly adult. He spent prison time in Albania and in the United States, and he's been through it hell. John, his name is John. I can't think of his last.
Light.
John A. Light. John A. Light.
Oh, the thing is, it's really weird, Joe. The crazy thing is, a lot of Albanians speak fluent Italian.
Because they're very similar. But he could never be made guy. But he did a lot of work for God. He was best friends with John Jr. But he called out Jr. that Jr. he exposed Jr. as not being a tough guy. It was all his father. He went under his father's name. He was nowhere near his father. His father didn't make him the boss when he went into prison, and they felt that was a way bad behavior. The brother, I heard his uncle took that very personally. Why he didn't get the slot, and then his uncle went away for a lot of years. Peter, I think it was Peter or the other one, and one of the brothers were.
Yeah, Peter. You know what? I think Peter stopped talking to his brother before he died years earlier.
Nothing to do with them. He was lived a clean life, and he was very, very good in society. And then there was one brother that followed his brother, but they got one or two daughters that were married. That nothing to do with it. But favorite daughter,
Gotti's other son, his youngest son.
Yeah,
Peter is a civilian.
He's a civilian. Peter was a civilian, but his other his older brother was not. He followed with John, but Peter was a civilian, good guy. Now John Gotti Sr. had a son, his one son that didn't have nothing to do with the life, but his son John followed his father's footsteps. He wanted to be a made guy. But then the one that really was the gangster was the daughter, because that was his baby girl.
Oh, definitely, because and
Victoria,
the is,
she was the brains of the family,
His wife was so pissed at him after he had him put in that she didn't talk to him for a couple of years.
Yeah, because she married the guy that was part of his crew that he claimed he had no knowledge about. But he wound up loving his son-in-law because his son-in-law was a real tough guy. His son-in-law really was a tough guy.
The crazy thing is, right?
He stood up to John. right there, and we walked into the Raven Knight house right to him and told him, "I'm marrying your daughter," and showed some balls.
Well, the crazy thing is, like with Gotti's kids, his wife was Jewish, so they're not actually.
That's right. His wife was Jewish. You're right.
But she also had Italian Jewish blood. I'm surprised they let it happen because in those days you had to be 100% Sicilian or Italian.
It was her biological parents that were Jewish, right? She was adopted by an Italian family, though, wasn't she? She was raised Italian.
I'm not really sure. Name? But I know she had some Jewish blood.
She does. Her biological father was Jewish, and they lived in Miami. Because I remember him in an interview. Gotti did. He said that Karen was her name, but she never recovered when her kid got killed by that neighbor. She never recovered.
That was so horrible. I felt horrible about that
thing. Which was a true accident. It was an honest accident, but Sammy Gravano wouldn't hear of it, and he whacked.
No.
He got three guys that were martial art guys, and they broke every bone in the guy's body. He never saw him again. And
the crazy thing is, right? No matter how bad people are, nobody should bury their children.
No, that's right. That's right. And from what I understand, John didn't want nothing done because he said it was an honest accident. But Sammy couldn't saw the wife crying. But Sammy,
I heard that John was like wanted to let him off the hook, saying
because he knew it was a legitimate accident. It wasn't the guy was out to hurt his family. You got to have some compassion. The guy was the guy wasn't even driving fast. The kid wasn't paying attention, and he just shot out in front of him with the mini bike, and it happened. I feel for them. Believe me, I got no disrespect to the Gotti. I would never disrespect anybody that made power like that. I just wouldn't do that. It's not my style.
It's horrible to happen to that poor kid.
John made the right choice, but she's the one that couldn't accept it, and I think she was okay with it, which is fine. She's the mother. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying that God bless her. How can I know how you should think unless it happens to you? You understand? No one can tell you what you're going to think until it happens to you.
I know.
What's right, what's wrong when someone accidentally kills your kid? What's the right and wrong thing to do? I don't know. I mean, I got a little bit of it. My stepdaughter died a couple years ago, and I know more things than what most people know. We know that we found out, but where are we at? That's her daughter. My wife is believes in God a lot and talks to God and prays to God. And her theory, God will take care of him. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And me, I was not a very religious guy in the beginning. I'm getting more to God now, more and more as I get older. But there was times that where I got in trouble with my wife is when I called to question God. I got very angry one night with God, and I said, well, if there's such this powerful God, why is he letting little kids get hurt? Why is he letting this happen to kids? Where was God when that little boy was getting raped? This was my hang up. And I'm not wrong for being realistic about it, but you're not supposed to question God. That was my biggest mistake. That was my biggest mistake I made. The whole point is my mistake was questioning God.
I know.
So I understand that now because my wife takes the time to sit me down and thoroughly explain to me. Mike, I never, as a Catholic growing up in my neighborhood, I knew all the priests. All I saw was gangster weekends where they had card games and they had casino night on Friday and Saturday, and then you're going in there and you're doing confession on Sunday. What kind of mixed signals are you sending to a young Catholic boy that's running around the neighborhood? You see all these gangsters with fancy cars having casino night, and then the father's going, "You better be at church to get your communion." You know what I'm saying?
So, you know what's crazy though, that these gangsters confessed to priests their sins.
Of course they did.
And the priests weren't allowed to say anything to any
they
law
still
enforcement.
But here, Mike, I believe in God 110%. I'm a Christian. I don't believe in the Catholic laws no more. And I'm going to tell you what changed me. I believe in God and I worship God and I pray to God. I don't believe in the Catholic system no more. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they do wrong by letting these priests not take a punishment when they hurt children. They exile them off to some country in a mountain and make them monks. And they're set there to just have nothing but human life, no TV, and they just got to pray day and night. But they hurt a lot of little boys. I don't believe in that. They should be punished like everybody else.
I know.
And that's what upsets me about the Catholic Church. Why can't the Pope? Why does the Pope have to hide them? Why? So you're embarrassed? If he molested somebody, he should be prosecuted.
I know.
And that's what I turned on. That's why I want nothing to do with the Catholic priests, because it's horrible what they allow. It's horrible. But I believe in God. It doesn't change. There's so many religions.
Me too.
You could be on your hands and knees in your bedroom and pray to God and love God. And you don't have to be at a church. Church is just a place where people congregate, you know.
Joe, who do we have next in the hit parade?
On my list here, I got the list here pulled up for you. Let me just pull it back up. I had it up here. I made the list for you, buddy. I copy here. It is.
Thank you.
So this is what we had. We had Paul Castellano and Tommy Bellotti. We took care of them too. We just did Joe Velacci, but above Joe Velacci was Vincent Giocanti. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world to talk about is the Chin, because I thought the Chin was one of the most brilliant gangsters to ever outsmart the mob. Outsmart the FBI better than anybody ever could.
Well, one great thing about him, though, is I heard that with his son, he put the word out to the 5 families and other people.
Yeah.
Don't ever propose them. Don't be making them associate.
Here's what we got, Mike. We'll do Vincent Giocanti. I figured we do a 2-hour show. We get through about 4 or 5 guys each week. So that's what we got to do. So next week we'll finish. Next week we'll start out with Carlos Gambino, John Gotti, Joseph Bonanno, and then Buffalino. Buffalino didn't want his kids in the. You had him on the list. I believe it was Buffalino that you had on here. William Wild Bill
Cortello.
Okay, that's who you got on there. We'll do those 4 next week. We'll finish up with Vincent Giocanti, because I think it's interesting, because we're at 8:18 and we're coming up to 2 hours, and I think 2 hours is a good show. I don't think we should.
That's perfect, right?
Perfect. So let's go. We're going to talk about one of my favorite people, or I thought everybody thought was dumb. I think he was one of the smartest of them all, and that's Vincent the Chin Giocanti.
He was a mastermind.
Mastermind, and he is the one that had the hit contract that failed and still lived. Most guys, when they got a contract, if they failed, you got wiped out. He was the guy set to kill Frank Costello, and he didn't succeed.
Unbelievable that he lived. They let him live.
He lived and became a boss. That's rare. That's very rare.
No, because they normally would put a bullet in the back of his skull.
That's right. So that for Joe Velacci, I recommend anybody going to find the old movie on the Joe Velacci that what's his name played it. Charles Bronson played, and read the book, because I'm not a reader. I rather watch the movie, but I heard the book was outstanding. The Velacci Papers was outstanding, I heard. So that's what the Velacci paper, very first guy to ever turn. And I believe the Godfather scene when they, with the guy what's his name, Frank Pantangela. I believe they were really talking about Joe Veloci's character in The Godfather. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely, because
Yeah, most
you know
definitely.
why? When Pentangelo, Tom Hagen convinced him to kill
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. He said we were like the Roman Empire. We used to be Frankie Five Angels. We used to be. Well, you
How
definitely.
crazy is that? He said the emperors, after defeat,
They go
would go in the
home.
tub, have
They
a
slit their
party,
wrist
cut themselves open, right?
and just died naturally with the blood drain on them, and their families and their kids were taking care of the rest of their life, which was
Oh, Joe
true in those days.
Maranzano made the mob like the Roman Empire.
That's right. They were like, but the problem with the problem with the Roman Empire is one man wanted to be the boss over everybody. He wanted to be the
Of
king.
course, the emperor.
He wanted
right?
to be the
That's the whole
king,
thing.
and you can't have a king no more. You can't. You just can't.
Well, the thing is, the Roman Empire fell too after a while.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's touch a little bit on who did we just say? We're going to do.
Gigante.
Chip Gigante. Where's my Gigante? I've been to Gigante. I know I got something right here. Wait, hang on. Did I put it in here? There's Velocci. There's Castellano. There's DeMeo. Where is my? I think no, it's not there. It's down here. Okay. All right. Let me find it. Mike. I'm going to go ahead and put us up here. You can tell a little bit. I'm just gonna. I got to just load that one up. I thought I missed that one. Let me put that in there real quick. But go ahead. You just tell them a little bit about back history of.
He, like I said, he was a boxer before anything. He's a professional boxer, and by being a boxer, especially in those days, the mob was around those guys all the time. That was like a big money maker to them. And he got introduced to them, and then he became an associate. And then Vito Genovese sent him out to take out Frank Costello in the late 1950s. And he yelled his name out, and he turned around, shot him, but he gazed him. He didn't kill him. And then, like you said, Joe, normally they would have put a bullet in his skull for not carrying it out, botching it up. But I'll tell you one thing: he was definitely he acted, mentally ill, but he was definitely a multi-millionaire.
Very smart man, I would say. Definitely. Oh, yes, he was. So,
Joe, what was he more, racketeer or gangster? Would you say?
I would say he was definitely both. He had the brains to run a family. He did it very well. He in a power play, he knew how to take himself out when the heat was on. He knew how to elude he was smart enough to fool the FBI was so. This went on not just for 1 year. This went on for years. He convinced them he was mentally deranged.
Oh, I heard. Remember you telling me that when the FBI came looking for him, he went in the bathtub.
He was in the bathtub in his house when they ring the doorbell, and the wife would let him in. He'd wait. What? He'd be in the bathtub in a bathing suit, the water running in an umbrella.
I heard, when they put him in the psych center, they gave medicine, but you know what? He probably didn't even take the medication. I don't think he
here, I got one better for you. He requested a certain medication that if he was under this medication, there was no way they could tell he was faking. He knew exactly what medicine to take, down to a science. This was amazing how this man did this.
Affect him, really, right?
Huh? I lost you, Mike. You there?
Oh, sorry.
Let me make sure this is the right one. I think this is the screen. Nope, that's the wrong one.
Rituals and secrets.
That's the one we just watched. Let me take care of this one and get rid of this. Blacci, okay, take care of Blacci. Okay, so now I'm gonna now put this one in for us, so you could get on this one. I just got to go to the media file and just put it here, and then we talk about this. All right, so there's the video. I got it right here, and that should go pretty smooth. I go back here. I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good. I'm getting better. Right now it goes there. It's from add the scene. Here we go. And that's him there. Let me just fix it so we can see it.
Wandered the streets of New York's Greenwich Village.
I'll put it down here. And put it down here, and then we can play it. And then now we're talking about Vincent the Chin Gigante, a man that was in the rackets. As Mike said, he was a boxer, a professional boxer, very tough guy, but he wasn't. He didn't have a good trigger hand, I guess. He was. because that was kind of how he missed that close range. I think they questioned him several times, but he was smart and he drove. He was Genovese's driver. He was groomed by Genovese for the time he recruited him, and so I think that's what saved him of not being killed. Because I've never heard of anybody that got put on a hit and failed and lived. I don't know nobody. Have you ever heard anybody? Yeah, Mike, have you ever heard anybody?
For 30 years,
I'm
Vincent
sorry.
Gigante wandered the streets of New York's Greenwich Village, dressed in a tattered bathrobe and babbling endlessly to himself. To the FBI, he was believed to be the boss of New York's most powerful mafia organization, the Genovese crime family. Was Gigante crazy, or was his behavior a shrewd attempt to disguise his position as a ruthless mafia boss? That question would take years to answer.
Every family has eccentrics, even crime families. Crime boss Vincent Gigante, head of New York's Genovese family, was undoubtedly eccentric. The question remained, was he truly mad? Justice rested on the answer. Outwardly, he roamed the streets as a doggedly old man,
For 30
barely
years,
in touch with reality.
Vincent Gigante.
But in the eyes of the law, he was a cunning conspirator and responsible for murder. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former director of the FBI's New York office. Organized crime takes a concerted effort to crack. The FBI is devoted to cracking it. The case against Gigante hinged on his ability to stand trial. Was his strange behavior an act of madness or a stroke of genius?
Anyone who witnessed Gigante's ravings would have
Like, you
found
hear
it
two
hard
things
to
going at one
believe that
time?
He controlled the largest and most profitable family in the New York Mafia.
I do.
An organization with a long and bloody history. The origins of the Mafia can be traced back to 13th century feudal Sicilian society. Bands of Sicilian families organized themselves to rebel against the oppressive and ruthless French invasion. For 30 years, Vincent Gigante wandered the streets of New York's Greenwich Village, dressed in a tattered bathrobe and babbling endlessly to himself. Mafia can be traced back to 13th century feudal Sicilian society. Bands of Sicilian families organized themselves to rebel against the oppressive and ruthless French invaders. Mafia, the acronym for the Italian Morta alla Francia Italia Anella, which translates to death to the French is Italy's cry, became the name that these organized families used to refer to themselves, its meaning synonymous with men of honor. By the 19th century, the Mafia re-emerged in Sicily as a purely criminal culture, mostly hiring themselves out to wealthy landowners to oppress upstart peasants. More and more, the goal of the Mafia became focused on how to generate illegal profits. The tradition continued as waves of Italians emigrated to New York in the 1920s. Most immigrants lived in cramped and poor conditions. As a result of growing ethnic tensions, Sicilian Americans became the target of growing resentment. They needed Mafia protection more and more. Louis Scilero, a third-generation Italian-American, is head of the FBI's New York field office. A 23-year veteran, he is an expert on the Mafia and its intricate structure.
When they first became prevalent in New York City, it primarily victimized members of the immigrant community, where in lower Manhattan they became the victims of extortions and protection rackets. And that's how the Cosa Nostra families originally got their start.
With Prohibition, influence of the crime families grew out from the isolated neighborhoods and began to spread nationwide. A new form of underworld cooperation emerged.
various crime families across America banded together
No.
to supply illegal alcohol to a country willing to pay for it.
Mike, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but talk a bit more of John, not the earlier years, but the more of him, just so we could get more better idea in his later years. I believe that's his daughter.
Friends from school had dared her to call and impersonate Polly. The entire incident had been a cruel joke.
This was the only indication we had after a week's time that Polly just might be alive still, and we all were poised and hopeful that this would yield a solution and her safe recovery. Of course, it didn't.
You all right, Mike?
In mid-October, Kate and Jillian were brought in to give another description of the man who tied them up.
What this is?
A highly acclaimed forensic artist was flown in to make a second sketch.
It was pretty well cut.
The artist was known for relaxing witnesses.
Mike, you okay? Can you hear it good? Mike, you hear me? I think we lost Mike here. Go back there. Mike, you hearing me okay? Mike, can you hear me? Mike? Can you hear me? I don't hear you. You lost your sound, Mike. I don't think he can hear me. Maybe he can't hear me. Mike, you lost your sound. I can't hear you. I can't hear. No. You don't hear me? You don't hear me? All right, hang on. Let me go back out. We come back in. Let me go back out, come back in. Hang on. All right. Let me go back. Can you hear me now? What the heck happened? Try this, Mike. Hang on. Mike, can you hear me? I think we're having technical issue with the sound, Mike. I can't hear you. You can't hear me. We lost sound. Mike, I'm gonna go out and come back in. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go out and come back in. So hang on a second. I'll take myself completely out. Hang on, Mike. Hang on. Hang on. Yes, sir. Can you hear me now, Mike? Mike? Mike. Mike. I think he's got something on. I don't know. We may have something on. Mike, can you hear me? Mike? Okay, let me see. Let me do something here. Hang on. Oh, honey? We lost sound somewhere. I don't know. Mike can't hear me at all. I can't hear him. He can't. There's nothing going on. Hang on, Mike. Hang on. Mike! Oh, shit. I take the thing off. Hang on. Something's out there. Something happened to the damn thing. Let me see. Got technical difficulties somewhere here. Somewhere along the line. Visual background. We're here. Mike, can you hear me? Mikey. Michael. Woo! Mike, look up. He's calling me, I think. There we go. Mike, can you hear me now?
No, not at all, Joe. I'm so sorry.
I put the sign up. I can't. You can't hear me, and I went out and in, and I don't think I could hear. Try to talk to see if I can hear you, but I'll put your phone down for a minute, talking to see if I can hear you in the studio. Say
Okay.
something. I'm going to put you. Say something.
Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. So you can't hear me.
I can't hear you though. That's the only thing.
Okay. So it's not on your end. It's on my end. I don't know what the heck is
I
going
can't
on.
hear you at all.
Okay. All right. So call me back on the phone. Call me back on the phone. I'm calling you back. Hang on. All right. Let me call you back. Hang on. All right. At least we figured out, but it's not you. It's me. Okay. So that's good. All right. So let me see. Go here. Call Mike back. Let me see. Call Mike back right now. All right, Mike. Here we go. Mike, I'm calling you back now. Mike, pick up your phone. I'm calling you back. There we go. So here's the thing. It's not on your end. That's why I was saying I hear you fine. And I left and went out and I got everything on. There's nothing off. I don't know what happened, but you're not hearing me. Now I'm gonna ask the fans if they can hear me. If they hear me, then there's got to be something to StreamYard. So let me ask. Anybody, please, somebody put in the chat room. Do you hear me? Mike can't hear me. You guys hearing me? That's what I need to know. Please be honest. Joey messed up the audio. No, I didn't mess no audio up. Sign language, Joey. Yeah, I don't know, but that's gonna work right now. Just tell me, can you guys legitimately hear me? Come on, enough. We got to go in there. We're wrapping the show up. I mean, come on. Do it for Mike. Don't do it for me. Do it for Mike.
No, do it for both of us.
Okay? Just can you hear me? I just need to know if you guys can hear me through the show. I'll go back out here. I'll do it my own test. Testing. I don't hear myself in the show. That's a problem. So I lost some kind of sound. No, wait. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? Joey? All right, no, they're hearing. I'm clicking through to them. I just not through to you. So they hear me fine. I put on YouTube to see when I'm talking in here if it's going to YouTube. They're hearing me fine. You can't hear me through EVMux. Anyhow, so what we'll do is, Mike, go ahead and say you can talk. Finish up. You want to say anything about what we were just watching, and then give your goodbyes, and then I'll wrap it up with them.
I think we had a great show tonight. We want to thank all our people for listening to us. Right, number one. Number two, we can definitely talk about him next week again. Other people, that's not a problem.
We're really trying really hard here, people. Now, Mike can't hear me on the phone. We really want to do a good show for you, and Mike and I think the chemistry is there. I think we have a lot of knowledge. If there's something you want to see different, if there's anything that within reason,
let us know.
Let us know. We're not going to know if you want to see more of this. We're willing to work with you guys as the fans so we can get you more interested and do a good show. So please.
Absolutely. But Joe, thank you. It was a great. I will definitely
tell your mom I said
thank you.
arrivederci. Tell her I said arrivederci.
Okay. Thanks.
And that hopefully someday I can come down there and see you guys and we can have dinner. And
that'd be cool.
I'll talk to you during the week.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye now. Everybody, the great Mike Machete, who I admire a lot. I really do. I really like Mike a lot as a human being. I think he's a good egg. He's a solid, good, wholesome guy. And I just think that we got a lot in common. And we're not here to bullshit anybody. We're not here to we're here, Mike's a funny guy. He knows what he's talking about. It's just two guys trying to just connect. And I think we're doing that. So I know there could be a lot of hatred between you guys and me. And I've always did one thing right, guys. I've always tried. I've always made the effort to try better and better. And no matter what your differences are with me, just if you really enjoy the show and you got some ideas, you want to see something, just tell us. I think I've grown enough to show you that I could be civilized with each and every one of you. Okay? I really mean that. I want to thank you for being here tonight, the people that were here. What's coming up today's Sunday? My next live show will be with Lou at 6:30 on Bustin' Balls on Wednesday. The next Friday. I apologize very much about I didn't rewatch the show till this afternoon, the 30-minute show. I had it laid out perfectly. The awards were nice done. I had a whole thing, but for some reason, 12 or 13 minutes, it was blank. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I was going to redo the show, but someone said, just chalk it up. If you want me to redo that show, for the 30 minutes and do it the right way, the way I had set it up to do. I can do that if you guys really want it. If you don't, that's fine too. I know. I got a lot of people saying, well, we expected it. We're not mad at you. We know what we expect out of you. Well, okay, I'm glad you guys do that. But you know what? I am trying, and I'll always try my best. So good night. We thank you. And like I said, we all can move on from the nastiness that we once had with each other, and we all could be civilized, and we all could come up with something good. Please go and register at Skoll, SKOL, my campaign page. I do a live hour show from there. It's like where you could join the call, come on. It's all political, and we could talk about things, and we could, what you think is wrong with this country. I really would like you guys to get involved with this because I want to get on the ballot, and I really want to do this, and I thank you again. I'm Joey C, and we'll see you again. Take care.